No, it's coming through from Rich's side. I think he was just not muting, so I think it'll be fine from there.
All right,
It
so
might
we're
be
live.
on the background. Hold on, let me turn the TV down. Is it still doing it?
You're good, Rich. It's just your speakers reverbing through the microphone is what it is. Or is that what it was doing? But we are live now.
Yeah, I just noticed the yellow light was on. Hey, folks, how are you going tonight? We're live, and I hope somebody's out there listening. And I'm extremely tired, so I'm acting stupid right now. But yeah, this week on Unloaded Media Channel, and we have, as always, with us our co-host Tardot. How are you tonight, sir?
Sorry, I'm assuming you were talking to me. Sorry, I was walked away from my phone for a second. But doing pretty good. Just been a busy day today.
Man, you scared me. I thought I would broke up or something. And our other co-host, Gunpowder Beauty.
I'm doing pretty good. How is everybody else doing?
And then we have Snowy Mountain, or Snowy North Gunslinger. Damn, I told you I'm tired. How are you, Snowy?
I'm doing all right. How's everyone else doing tonight?
And bringing up the rear, we have the Tactical Chicken, Gary Gizzard. How are you tonight, Gary? Or Gizzard Gary? Damn, I can't get anybody's name right tonight. So, how are you, Gary?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good on this wonderful, cold, rainy day. Thanks for having me.
So, does anybody have anything they would like to talk about tonight?
Actually, I have something that was kind of interesting that happened. So, in the town I grew up in, which is about 10 minutes from where I live, a little town called Mukwonago, they had their first gun show pop up today, and it was at a park that happens to be across from the middle school. And apparently the police department got a bunch of phone calls about this from people saying, well, we don't think this is right. They shouldn't be able to hold it at this park. And the police department, in a kind of weird way, posted on Facebook saying, hey, we understand everybody's calling. There's nothing we can do. We had to issue them these licenses. Whether we believe that they should be able to do this or not, we can't stop it. And I thought that was kind of a good response, but then my big thing is, and that I kind of want to ask everybody else is, in my opinion, aren't police departments supposed to be pretty unbiased and not politically biased when it comes to that type of stuff? And essentially in this statement, they said, well, we're anti-gun, but there's nothing we could do.
Yeah, they're definitely supposed to be unbiased. Remember that from the law enforcement ethics classes that I took at Liberty University. Law enforcement is supposed to be unbiased. They are not supposed to show any bias while on duty, politically one way or the other, or on any issue. They're supposed to do their job and keep that stuff talk about it back at the precinct, whatever. That's fine. But when they're out there doing their jobs, they are not to be talking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know there's been some problems with the police chief that they have out there because he ran at one point for some type of political position and ran as a Democrat, which, whatever, that's fine. That's his political beliefs. But now, unfortunately, I think because of that post and it being something that was supposedly coming directly from him, I kind of have a fear that if we start allowing that type of stuff to continue going on, what other biases are we going to start getting in the police departments?
Anybody else have any views on this subject while we're on it?
Sorry, I was dealing with a fussy kid. What happened with the police chief?
So essentially they made a post on there saying that, well, we don't believe in guns, and pretty much took an anti-gun stance. And then they posted this on a public forum, and the police chief at one point had run for a political position. He ran as a Democrat, which is fine. That's his political beliefs. But now a lot of people's concern, and essentially what the major concern was that was being voiced in the comment section on this Facebook post is, well, if you guys are being biased towards this, what other stuff can we start expecting for being a political bias coming from a police department? And mind you, I'm not trying to talk shit about cops because I have them in my family. I think they do wonderful work and I love police and I support them. But something like this, it does kind of have me concerned that we do have a police chief pretty locally that is starting to show some form of bias towards being anti-gun and starting to use his political nature to put public messages out, which is kind of concerning.
No doubt. That would be a little concerning, especially since they're, I don't really want to say that they're going on the wrong side because that sounds terrible.
But it's right, because they took an oath to the Constitution.
Yeah. And for him to be elected in, and now you're using your platform to push your own agenda and I guess show your true colors after you've been elected in, that's kind of shady.
Yeah, and like I guess I can kind of understand where some people were coming from, where they did call the police department like, hey, we have a concern about this and how are they actually able to do it? But because it's a public piece of public property, as long as they follow all ordinances, they have to issue a permit to use the property. So I get it. The main concern was, well, why is it going on across from a school? And essentially what everybody was telling them, well, one, it's a Saturday, there's no school going on. And two, it doesn't matter. It's a public place, it's a park, and to be completely honest, in that small little town of less than 5,000 people, that's the best location to have any public event.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who don't see everyone's side of things, but as long as they are obeying the law, they've got their permit, they're doing what they're supposed to, and they're being respectful about doing it, I don't see what the problem is. It was a Saturday. Yeah, it's close to a school, but it's a Saturday. And if that park can hold that many people, why is there an issue? Like,
well, and my big thing
I don't know.
is, look at how much actually got brought into the town by that, because the gun show had concession stands, it had food. All of those people have to get specific permits for their stuff. The gun show had to pay a pretty penny on there. And mind you, that park sits empty and barely unused 99.9% of the time. So my big thing is it's like, I don't care what your stance is. I'd be looking at it from the revenue to bring into the public area, because the town needs a lot of shit done to it, especially since they just did a $5 million school build or something like that. It's like, yeah, look at it from the revenue aspect. And honestly, that's probably going to be your safest place. The only arrests that were made when this whole thing was going on was the protesters coming over and threatening the people with the guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, protesters are stupid that way. See a bunch of people with guns. Let's go protest the people that can shoot back at us. You gotta wonder what's going through these people's minds to begin with.
Well, when it comes to that side, you really can't expect these people to have a logical decision when they're thinking about these things. They sit there and do it just for the attention and try to put everything in a negative light. The fact that it's bringing money to the town, it's helping possibly give people an opportunity to make some money, because you've got to hire people for cleanup. You've got to hire people for security detail. You most likely hire somebody to do setup, unless all of these vendors are doing it themselves. But that's bringing money to not only the town, but the people in the town. So the reason that not the reason, but for them to sit there and be against it, it doesn't really make any sense when those that wouldn't have this opportunity to make money or would have to go out of the town to make money, you're helping your town by having this, and it's not hurting anybody.
Yeah, and like the thing that I thought was smart, so they actually hired my security contracting firm to provide security for it. And before you could even walk into either of the two buildings that they had been using for this gun show, you had to show your ID. If you were not 21 years old or 18 years old, you were not allowed into each building. One building was specifically set up for handgun sales, and one was set up for long gun sales. If you were 18, you could walk into the one. If you were 21, you could go into both of them. But they did it like that, and I thought that that was intelligent and a smart kind of way of doing it. It's like, hey, we're checking IDs, so nobody that's not supposed to be in here because they're not of age isn't coming in. You can't really.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Anybody, Gizzard, you got anything you want to add?
Well, the only thing that came to mind for me is the law enforcement. As far as I'm concerned, their only function is to enforce the laws, not to make it. I mean, am I looking at that wrong? I mean, they shouldn't be changing policy or anything else. It's pretty much whatever the laws are that exist, they should be enforcing those and not making trouble for people.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right on that.
Law enforcement is part of the executive branch at any level. Their job is not to make law. Theirs is just to enforce it.
Exactly.
Yeah, the problem is we're having a federal government that's already starting to set, or has been setting a bad example previously, and they're already starting to do it again with the bump stock thing that's been going on for past 6 months to a year now. And so because they're letting the ATF try to, and your law enforcement officials and head law enforcement and all of that try to set policy and set laws when their job's to enforce. They should have nothing to do with what's going into place. It's the same thing here. Your law enforcement officials locally shouldn't be voicing their opinion, yay or nay, on the law publicly. Like Snowy was saying, or somebody was saying, if they want to talk about it back at the station, that's fine, but they shouldn't be trying to show their opinion about the law publicly, because they're the ones that are required to enforce it. So once you say it out loud, what's to say you're not doing things just out of spite because you don't like guns?
Well, in this particular police department, they've needed kind of an overhaul for a while, because they've now had multiple officers that have been fired for committing actual crimes and then been arrested on federal charges. The most recent one that I can think of is what was it? He was a police liaison because he couldn't go out on patrol because he had so many DUIs, was still allowed to be an officer. Then he commits a robbery of a bank in the same town he works with his issued weapon from the police department, using his police radio, all kinds of stuff like that. And then come to find out, he was also changing records for his girlfriend at the time, who was on probation, supposed to be 100% sober. And he went through and changed all of her stuff, saying he was going over and breathalyzing her, and she was blowing an absolute zero. So there's been some questions about that, and it's been the same police chief for this entire time. So I know there's some questions kind of coming up of whether we should start looking at replacing him, and people going through and doing the process that they're supposed to get a replacement police chief in there, because there's some concerns about that. And I grew up in that town. I mean, there's been concerns about that for as far back as I can remember. So it's something where, unfortunately, I think the town that it actually, or the village that it actually happens in, they have to start going through and looking at replacing their police chief, because they've got some issues with that department. And this may finally be the final nail in his coffin as well.
Yeah, it sounds like there's some serious problems. Why hasn't the mayor replaced that guy? Or or whatever the case may be as police chief at this point, because the mayor has the ability to replace the police chief if they're not doing their job properly.
Unfortunately, I think it's because the mayor of that town is probably in the same thought process and the same cahoots as what the police chief is. Because to be honest, the mayor of that town has been up on some questionable stuff as well. But for some reason, he got voted back in pretty recently. So I think, unfortunately, that town's kind of losing its way and not really getting enough people to go out and vote to change the way that they should be.
Which that would make more sense, because usually your police chiefs are not elected officials. Usually they're appointed. It's usually your sheriffs that are elected officials.
Yeah, see, and that's exactly how it is out here. Is it's an appointment. It's not a elected official, which there has been questions because some towns and villages around where I live, they are actually an elected official as a police chief, but most of them have been appointments, and that's one big thing that people have brought up with all the stuff of, well, we need to reform the police, which I think most of that is bullshit. But I do think that maybe if we started electing some police chiefs, there'd be a little bit more accountability than if they're just an appointed position.
Well, I don't know about that so much, because look what happened in Parkland with their sheriff down there. What's his name? Israel. That guy's on the verge of getting a no confidence vote from his own people. So and you're going to have crooked politicians, because a lot of places the sheriff is just a career politician. That's the way it was in Pittsburgh. The sheriff was a career politician because they had unlimited term limit for the county sheriff.
That's the way it is in Dallas. The Dallas County Sheriff is actually one that's trying to, I think, run for governor or something, or coming up. I can't remember what it was she was running as. And yeah, she doesn't need to be.
Yeah, see, I guess I'm kind of lucky because the guy that we had, he was never a career politician. He just worked his way up as the sheriff in the county that I'm in, and he was a big proponent. We used to have a real crappy DA who he would just drop charges on people that were buddy with him or nice to him, and he ended up dropping a charge on me and my fiance that we had pressed charges on somebody for. And he ended up, not even a year after that, they got the new county sheriff in, and then he was out. The district attorney was out pretty well. So I guess I live in a pretty good county when it comes to that.
Yeah, where I live in West Virginia now, it's I think what might even be West Virginia law period. The sheriff can only run for 2 terms, 2 4-year terms, and you have to have a law enforcement background. You can't just be a career politician who decides, hey, I'm going to run for sheriff one day, which you do get in some areas. I don't even have to have a law enforcement background. And since I've moved away from Pittsburgh, I believe that's the way it was in Allegheny County. You didn't even have to be a law enforcement officer to run for sheriff. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, see, there's some stuff like that I think there definitely should be a term limit on how many times a person can run. And it comes down to it's the same philosophy I have for being a president. Not, in all honesty, I think if you run for president, you should have to have served in the military at some point to be the commander in chief over the military. I think it's the same thing with being either a police chief or a sheriff. You should be required to have a law enforcement background, not just be some hoagie coming in and, I'm going to tell these people how to do their job, even though I've never experienced it before.
Well, see, I don't necessarily agree
most of the
especially when it comes to talking about like the president being the commander in chief. I understand the aspect of it. I think it's actually a very major positive if they've had well, when I say a positive, they were, honorably discharged, retired, whatever, from the military. But I don't think it's necessarily a requirement, because if there's a misunderstanding as far as military policy, that is why the president usually surrounds themselves with advisors, military advisors. I think there needs to be more accountability when it comes to like a presidential election, as far as the advisors that are being put into place to help the president. Now, the same deal could be said for like a sheriff. a county sheriff. I don't necessarily think they should have a required law enforcement background. I think that is another thing that would be a positive, a major positive. But if you think about it, especially in certain areas of the country, if you look for that law enforcement background, the issue you're going to run into is you are going to run into a lot of people, a lot of candidates that do not agree with maybe what the populace wants. So,
Well, that's
you could have it all.
The sheriff is an elected official. If you
Yeah.
you elect your sheriff, you can get rid of them. You can't do that with a police chief.
Yeah, now police chief, there needs to be a required, but obviously most cases it is a required law enforcement background. But what I was talking about is when you were saying that the sheriff should have some places have a required law enforcement background. I could see that being a positive and a negative, because I think it's a very big positive to have the background, but at the same time, I could see a positive as having somebody who maybe wasn't a part of that department, or they may have some minor law enforcement background in a sense, get into that position, and now you've got their position is like, if you have a bad sheriff's department, kind of like what Snowy's talking about with the police department, and they get into position, you might have a citizen that has had some minor experience with law enforcement or security get into that position and see where there needs to be more visibility to the public about what's happening in that department, and there needs to be more accountability in that department. So you might actually start seeing more change through getting somebody that's not necessarily law enforcement. But like I said, law enforcement to me is always a positive, but it all depends on them personally, more so than what their experience has been.
And I just want to touch real quick on Snowy's point about the president having military background. Up until recently, say with Bill Clinton, just about every president who's ever served has had some form of a background with military at some point in their life, even if they weren't necessarily a member of the military themselves, like FDR, who for obvious reasons couldn't. He still served in the Navy Department prior to becoming president. Right? Who was I going to say? Bill Clinton is the first president, if I remember correctly, who didn't actually have any kind of familiarity whatsoever with military in any way, shape, or form.
See, I don't remember if that's exactly right or not, but it sounds pretty accurate. He's at least been the first one in so many years. But like I would say,
he was definitely the first one since World War II in the 20th century not to have military experience at all.
But like I was going to say though, I definitely could see where military experience is a positive, and believe me, that's something that I look at. Depending on what their platform is. If I've got two people running on the same exact platform and I agree with them, and one's got military experience and one doesn't, I may possibly be more inclined to vote for that person if they seem more honest and straightforward and they both have the same policy.
Beg your pardon, but I'm going to have to jump off for a minute or two. Work just called me and I need to check in and see what's going on.
Able to come back. You have a good night, man.
Yes, sir. I'll try to be back. Thanks.
So are we done with that topic, or does anybody else have any more points they want to make on that one?
I guess I'm actually hearing from your guys' opinions on the military service being a requirement and stuff. I guess I completely kind of understand where everybody's coming from on that. See, that's one thing that I think that Trump was pretty smart about, is he did kind of surround himself with a decent group of advisors, and then on top of that, he put Mad Dog in as Secretary of Defense. So I think he did good on that aspect. I just know that me personally, I tend to lean more towards military experience would be a huge positive for me.
And I'll say in the end, that's exactly why that's one of the reasons why we elect officials, is because, like you say, it's more of a positive for you that they have military experience. And even for me, it is to a point. Like I said, if I got two people, same exact platform, and they're pretty much almost exactly the same, except for I've got one over here that has the military experience, and the other may be a lawyer, just a lawyer or something. I'm probably going to be more inclined for the military experience, especially if he seems more straightforward and upfront about everything. And it just depends on. I'm more on the policy, less on what your background is. And I want to see a good, solid experience in your background, but I'm more about what the policy you're trying to push is as you're going into office.
Yeah, I can completely understand what you're saying on that one, Tardot. So I'm guessing we're done with this topic. So the other day on Sarge's chat, we were talking about like AR pistols and stuff, and I got to thinking that how many of you have seen that new SB tactical one? It uses the standard military spec buffer tube. Any of you seen that one?
I have not.
I'm sorry, what was it? I had a child screaming in my ear like a banshee.
Have you seen the new SB tactical brace that uses the mil spec buffer tube?
No, but it sounds awesome.
Yeah, this one it's collapsible like what your regular AR-15 stock would be. It uses the mil spec tube and everything, like I said. I was thinking when I saw that I actually want to get one for my pistol, and I was hoping Clover he's got something against the braces, but I was thinking that this could be a good, even better step for if you want to eventually SBR it. And I was wondering if you guys thought anybody else might come up with one of those now that SB Tactical got the approval to put their braces on that type of tube. Any thoughts on that from any of you?
Well, like in the chat, what I'm seeing, Black Cat said it, and I kind of think about it too, is wonder how the legality works out with that, because technically if it's using the factory buffer tube, wouldn't it technically not be using a brace? It would be able to use just a factory rest on it.
Tube doesn't count as the stock, only the stock you put on it. You can already put any buffer tube you want on a pistol, and it's a pistol. It's not a rifle until you put a rifle stock on that buffer tube.
Gotcha. See, and I didn't know how that worked because I've never shot or held or even thought about getting an AR pistol. So I was just kind of curious about that because I didn't know what the laws specifically for that were.
Yeah, AR pistol all depends on the definition for the pistol would be the barrel length and the stock, because I think it's either 16 or 14 inches, or 16, I believe it is. If it's under 16, it's no longer considered a rifle at that point. And so you're not supposed to have a stock on it.
Yeah, well, you can. Here's the thing. If you have a rifle or a pistol that has a folding stock and it's pinned and welded where you can't open that stock anymore, that is considered a pistol as well, until you take and you buff out or cut out that weld that's keeping that stock from being able to engage.
Speaking of the devil, it looks like Black Cat joined us.
Yeah, I'm here.
But yeah, the other difference that makes a big difference on policy and law when it comes to AR pistols and just short barrel rifles and short barrel shotguns is the barrel itself, as far as rifling and everything else in it. Because obviously one's going to be defined as a shotgun and the other will be defined as a rifle, but that's also
that's what led
to it.
That's what led to the retardation. That if you don't have lands and grooves in it, it's a smooth bore, and therefore it's a shotgun. Then you got an SBS, which you need a tax stamp for. If it's rifled, it's then an SBR, and you need the tax stamp because it's an SBR. But if you got the straight lands and grooves like what they put in it, it's neither. So that's where you get into that gray area as well.
So then here's my question, since you guys seem to have experience with these AR pistols, is what's the size comparison of them as opposed to like a Tavor or another smaller bullpup rifle like that? Is the size comparison pretty similar, or is it actually that much smaller where it would make it a better position?
Are you talking about overall length, or are you talking like barrel length?
Overall length.
Overall length, my pistol, depending on how I have the stock, or not the stock, excuse me, the brace, how I have it positioned, it'll be shorter than what a Tavor is for sure. And it's about the same size as what the X95 is, because the X95 is just a slight bit shorter than what the Tavor is because of the difference, everything with it. And it's a lot cheaper. If you're building your own AR-15 pistol, you can build 4 AR pistols almost for the price of what one Tavor, be it the full size Tavor or the X95, would cost you. So you also got to look at the economics of it as well, because most of your bullpup rifles are going to cost you 2, 3, 4 times what an AR pistol would.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Yes. Go ahead, Blackhead.
I was gonna say I could throw together a halfway decent AR pistol for $500 to $600 tomorrow if I wanted to. Whereas I don't know what Tavors sell for around your area, but around here you're looking at $1,800. I think is about what they go for.
Yeah, I just bought mine and it cost about $19.
I know, like in Pennsylvania where I'm at, you can't have a loaded rifle in a car, but you can have a loaded pistol if you have a carry permit, one in your car or on your person. So, like, I know one of the advantages to an AR pistol here in PA is, like, if you had a Tavor, you'd have to have it unloaded where you could keep an AR pistol loaded if you wanted to use it that way.
That makes sense. Yeah, I guess that's something to look at, because I did just buy my Tavor, but I have also been thinking about and kind of looking into some of this AR pistol stuff, and it's kind of an interesting fact. Like what you just brought up is I can leave it loaded in my car, to where my Tavor, I can have it in the car, but I can't have it loaded. So that's a really good point to bring up.
Yeah, and Midnight brings up a good point too. I can't believe I'm saying this, but if you have an SBR and you tack on a muzzle brake that puts it over that 16-inch length, it's then just a standard rifle until you, just like with the folding stock on the pistol, until you cut that weld out and you're able to take that brake off.
Yeah, but a big thing there you got to remember is that brake has to be like considered a permanent part of that gun. You can't remove it ever. I mean, you can and file your tax stamps or whatever else, but
you can just do a mild tack weld and that's good enough. You don't them so that they don't. Well, in the course of firing it, it doesn't come loose, but you can literally just tack weld it, especially with the case of an AK, because they have the retaining pin in the sight block that holds those on. You can just tack weld that retaining pin to where it doesn't push in, and that qualifies. It's a rifle at that point.
So I know, like, I'm going to do, I'm working on a 9mm pistol build right now. I was thinking that one I'll probably do like a 7.5, 8.5-inch barrel. Another thing to look at if you're going to do an AR pistol is if you go below 10.5 inches on a 5.56 barrel, you start really losing velocity quick. So I know you see some of these guys with like the 6-7-inch AR pistols in 5.56, but we can get them that short, you're really turning it into like a 22 mag pistol at that point.
Yeah, the smaller smallest I would go on an AR pistol that's using 5.56 is a 10.5 inch. Now, if you're going with, say, a 300 blackout, you can go shorter because that round has more velocity than what a 5.56 would have to begin with. So you can make that work in a shorter pistol, but even then I wouldn't go anything lower than 8.5. With a pistol caliber one, you could go down to 5 inches and it's just going to be like the same as using a regular handgun with just a bigger magazine hanging at the bottom of it.
That's why I was kind of looking around 7.5, 8.5, because in 9mm, I'll actually get a boost in velocity over a, say like a Glock 19 size gun. It'll give it quite a little bit more punch and velocity, but still be pretty short.
Yeah, it's definitely if you're shooting a pistol caliber, your barrel length really is a good matter because you're really not. I've actually seen people have not AKs, ARs. I was just reading Midnight's comment, but I've seen people with the AR and a pistol caliber where they have a 4-inch barrel. I'm thinking to myself, why not just get a regular handgun if you're going to go that small on the barrel with an AR pistol caliber? You know what I mean? It's like it defeats the purpose in my view.
Yeah, but how short are you talking? I mean, because realistically, an AR pistol, at a 8.5 to 10.5 inch length, you're going to get better than most pistols.
If you're getting a 4-inch barrel in an AR pistol, you might as well just grab whatever you have laying around as far as your whatever 9mm sidearm normally would be anyway. You're really not going to have that much more recoil from say a Glock 17 or a HK P30 long or anything like that than you would out of that AR anyway.
But I'll agree with that. But then you're going from that point. If somebody's doing a 4-inch barrel or something to that extent that you can get in just your average pistol, that's more of you're shifting from need to want.
Yeah, I just don't see the point in that short of a barrel in an AR. If I'm going to put an AR together, I at least am going to put like a 6, 7, 8-inch barrel on it. That way you get AR in that say 9mm in the first place, is so you get more of the powder burn, so you're getting more of that velocity behind that round. If you're going with a 4-inch barrel, you're not getting any more velocity than what a Glock 17 would. It's just, I don't see the logic behind it.
Plus, you got to look at format. Somebody may like that AR pistol format more than they would like, a Glock or whatever else.
I look at it too. If you're going to run a dedicated suppressor on it, then you can shorten it down to 4 inches and run the suppressor right underneath your handguards. If you ran like say a standard 8-inch handguard, you could have the suppressor run underneath the handguard so you could run more like a carbine.
But at that point, if you're putting a dedicated suppressor on it, you're probably going to have the money where you can just turn it into a freaking carbine anyway, so it's not even a pistol at that point anyhow.
I was just thinking more for the short barrel. I see your point there, though, but still 2 tax stamps is 2 tax stamps.
Yeah. Well, so that's what I was about to ask, RL. So is this all based off what you're wanting to do with your Snowflake?
No, actually, I have a dedicated Glock lower that I've had for over a year, and I just haven't gotten around to building it. So I've been looking at that as my 9mm build. I have one of the PSA Glock lowers that I'm going to build out. The Snowflake, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. If that's going to be, that may end up being a carbine. I'm not sure. I found a set of blue handguards, it's basically like a blue free float tube and a blue buffer tube that kind of matches the blue and the unicorn on it. So I have some ideas. I don't know what caliber I'm going to go with that yet, though.
myself. I
Is it
still
like
think
a
that
snowflake
lower is-
blue, or is it like a royal blue or something? Because I mean, come on, if it's snowflake, you got to have all the pretty colors going on it.
Oh, it's snowflake blue. Yeah, it's a gay ass blue.
I still think that lower is perfect for making a like Tim from Military Arms Channel did with it, making the nut kicker, the NFA nut kicker. I think that's still a perfect receiver for that because of the settings on it and everything.
That would be good.
I know
just don't if
you-
want to do the trigger like that.
I know you said it RL before, but how much was it that you spent on that, and where was it at?
I got that at a local shop to me. I spent actually overpaid for it. I spent $169 on it, which I've
Okay.
seen them online cheaper. Like you can get them online for around 120 or so, but I haven't seen one in stock online in forever. I just happened to see that one. They have another one in stock at that shop. If anybody's looking for one, I did see they have another Kellerfeld one there.
So yeah, I mean, not yet, but once I've got some money together, I'm thinking of, because I've always talked about getting the parts, start working on getting parts together to do a build. So that might be my selection, to be goofy and have a snowflake.
Geez, with you guys talking about how cheap stuff is, some of those parts being not that expensive, I'm just looking at. I've been trying to work out a deal for like the last week for a rifle, and I'm just looking at the price of the stuff that goes with that. It's like, holy crap! Maybe I should start looking into doing something that would be a more cost-effective build.
You can. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tart. I'll let you go first.
Oh, I was probably about to say the exact same thing you were, and that's just that you can do builds for a lot cheaper than you can do especially if you're trying to, like we were saying earlier, talking about Tavors and everything. If you're looking at those high dollar rifles, you can do builds so much cheaper, and you may not necessarily have a Tavor quality, but you're going to have a good rifle still.
Well, I'm wondering if it'll let me screen share, because I'll show you guys what I'm kind of looking at, if it will work. And it looks like it's going to. There we go.
Okay.
So I'm actually looking at a DNL MR 30PG and 338 Lapua, which is the rifle that's on the screen there. And the guy that's got one locally, it's more similar to this picture here. It's going to cost me about $3,500 to $4,000 is what we're kind of working a deal out for right now. But that's the new toy that I'm probably going to be getting.
Yeah, I don't have much experience building. I have a project there, 2 bolt guns that are projects that I want to start working on too. I get good deals on stuff and I buy it, and then like I just found I wanted to build a 35 Wellen for an elk gun just because I always wanted 35 Wellen, whether it's the greatest round or not. I just loved it when I was a kid. But I found a Savage in 270, which I can steal the action from and rebarrel the other day. So I threw that on a layaway because it's like $240, and I'm going to trash pretty much everything but the action on it anyway. Maybe the trigger group I'll keep. So that'll be kind of one of my first actual full bolt gun, starting from just the bare action and going through it. The other ones I have there are going to be like, I have that Enfield. I'm changing a number 4 Mark 1 over to a scout rifle configuration for that one too. I just got to figure out. I'm still working on the scope mount because nobody makes a scout rifle mount anymore for that. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to get a scope mount, like a rail mounted on it right now.
See, for me, this rifle, that DNL that I'm looking at, the only reason I'm even looking at that rifle or even had that come across my radar is because I got into the TV show Shooter, and that's actually what they call the Black King rifle. And I just got enamored with that rifle and started getting obsessive about it and started looking for one, and I finally found one locally. But starting to find out they're a real pain in the butt to find, and like I've never heard of Nasika Bay before for action, so I'm actually really interested. I shot this one a couple times already, but now it's just kind of one of those things where it'll be the first time I buy a gun that I've seen in a TV show or a movie. I'm just kind of super excited about this one.
Well, you just got to keep in mind too. Yeah, it looks cool, but I mean, you just got to keep in mind too, like if there's anything on it, you know, if there's stuff on it that you're not liking, that you want to have, you know, maybe a different barrel or whatever on it. I mean, they may do custom builds. I don't know how much, if they're going to charge you more for a custom than anything, but you know, that's the upside to doing your own build too, is you get what you want. You know, you just buy it part by part, get what you want.
Yeah, and the next bolt rifle or precision rifle that I build other than this one is going to be, I've been meaning for the longest time to actually sit down and do a build on a precision rifle. I just never have gotten around to doing it, and that's definitely on my radar, and I already got approved for that to go ahead and start doing that from the old lady. So I think I'm good on that one, and I think that's what I'm going to start doing next. And then I think after that, probably going to be an AR or an AR pistol, because I don't currently own an AR. So
what Tarda had said is where I started building ARs, because I knew what I wanted, and to buy the rifle that I wanted would have been kind of cost prohibitive for me at the time. So I started buying pieces, you know, part by here, part there, part here, part there. And I ended up having the first one I built with the optic and everything. I had about 1100 into it with the optic. But if you compared it to like trying to buy a rifle off the rack, I'd have probably had to spend 1600 at the time to get that rifle off the rack. You know, so it's in all in what you want. Like my dissipator build is, that one was, I just slapped it together. I had a stripped lower at the house and bought a Palmetto dissipator upper and a lower parts kit and slapped it together for like $550. And it runs fine. That one was just for fun.
Well, Midnight's saying for you to look at his comments he's making, the most recent ones.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody, he has a recommendation for you for scope those lines.
Talking about S&K scope mounts.
Yeah.
He said he sent his 8mm out to do that.
Yeah. See, S&K used to make a scout mount for the number 4 Mark 1, but they don't make it anymore. I've tried to get one on eBay. I've been kind of holding out, trying to see if one pops up on eBay, but they kind of discontinued that, which kind of annoys me. That was probably the best one that you could use.
So, Gary, do you have any thing you want to contribute on the AR pistol front or AR build or anything along those lines?
No, I really don't. That's an area of firearms I haven't gotten into yet. Not that I'm not interested, but haven't went there yet, so I couldn't speak intelligently on the subject. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Another thing you could do, RL, with when building an AR pistol, blackout, and you use subsonic and you have a can on the end of that, it's pretty much hearing safe in a size that's smaller than most of your rifles in that caliber would be, and it's still going to hit depending on the round you're using, with force between a 45 ACP and a 357 Magnum. So it's not going to be a weak round by any stretch either. It makes a good home defense platform.
Yeah, see, that's where 300 blackout, that's where that kind of reigns supreme, is suppressed, especially on a short barreled, be it an SBR or a pistol. That's kind of what that round was developed for more than anything. If I was going to go rifle length for like a 30 cal, I like 7.62 by 39 better, but for what you're talking about, home defense, that's perfect, especially if you can run a suppressor on it. The only
Anybody
caveat,
else have any last?
I was gonna say one thing. The only caveat I
Go
would
ahead.
use for that though is just realize going into it, if you built, say, you know, an $800 AR pistol and a $600 can with a $200 tax stamp, if you use that for home defense and actually end up having to shoot somebody with it, you may never see that again. So it's something to consider if it's, you know, that's your baby and it took you 3 years to save up the money to put all that together. If you actually use it for that purpose, you might lose it.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. And my response to that is, I think my family is worth $1,500 in the price of a fire.
Well, it is, but I just same reason
Yeah,
why I
so
don't
that's
carry
the way I
my,
look at it.
yeah, but it's the same purpose why I carry, say, a $400 or $500 pistol and not one that I have that's worth like, you know, $1,300 or one that like my dad gave to me because
Yeah,
I don't
well,
want to lose it.
but that's a different situation. Now you're talking sentimental value over just dollar value.
Sorry. Yeah, I agree on that one too. Just saying, you might want to look into like my home defense guns. I try and keep it as like, to be truthful, it's usually whatever handgun I have sitting next to me. Plus, I have a shotgun and an AR downstairs, and that's, you know, most of the time it's either, you know, it's my dissipator build that's sitting around, or the you know, a $250 Mossberg 500 upstairs, or whatever handgun I have. I don't know. I just want myself. I wouldn't designate something that I spent a couple grand on as a home defense weapon. But I guess, you know, it's, everybody's their own. There's people out there that have friggin' $7,000 guns that I'm sure could use it as a home defense weapon and not care. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean, but at that point, I'm not putting together or buying a $7,000 AR anyway. If I'm gonna spend $7,000 on something, it's gonna be because it has some kind of extra value to it, like it's an antique or something. I'm not just gonna go buy an AR and slap $7,000 on it anyhow. If I had the money, I wouldn't do that.
$7 grand, I'd be looking at something in 50 cal.
I'd be looking at something with a fun switch.
Well, that would fall into be something special to be slapping $7,000 on it.
Speaking of which, anybody want to loan me $37,000? Because I have a line on a fully transferable MP5 right now.
Can't help you there, buddy.
Can't loan you the money, but if you ever come up this way, I'm sure we can go to the security contractors range that I use, and I can let you shoot one.
Oh, I've shot a full auto MP5 before. This one's fully transferable. I could actually purchase this one.
Does anybody else have any more comments on that subject, or are we done with this? Run this one into the ground as far as a topic. All right, I think we have. So that brings up another thing. Since we got to talk about using them as a home defense gun, what's everybody use for, say, a nightstand gun? And what made you choose that particular firearm?
Looks like a few people just dropped off, but for me, my nightstand gun is pretty much what my carry gun is currently. It's right now I'm carrying an M&P 40 full size, and I'm waiting on a light to come in for it, and then I have a laser for it. But that's essentially what my nightstand gun is I don't like to dedicate any specific gun to just being that single duty. I would rather just use my carry gun because I tend to train with it more often than anything else that just sits around.
Did all of you that got kicked hear what the question was?
Yeah, you're asking what the nightstand gun is and why it's our choice.
Yes, sir.
Honestly, for me, I mean, my nightstand guns, really, I don't keep a gun in a nightstand. I've got my pistol cabinet that they sit on top of, but it's close enough. It's next to the bed. But that's mostly because it's out of reach of the kids. Mine are honestly my carry guns. You know, whichever ones I'm carrying at the time, which right now, you know, I've got my SP-101 is what I carry as a revolver, and I've got my SP-2022, which is my option that I use for a semi-automatic if I feel like I need more capacity or anything. And those tend to be the nightstand guns, the ones that are closest to me, you know, at that time. Your options tend to be kind of limited, you know, as far as what you're going to have within reach and everything, and where it can be when you have little hands running around.
Yeah, that's a problem I don't have to deal with anymore.
My big thing is because I live in an apartment complex, I worry about using a AR or anything like that with overpenetration. I don't need it going into somebody else's apartment building or anything like that. So for me, I tend to stick with a pistol, or else if I really think that it's going to be something I should look at is maybe a shotgun with some slugs, or even I would consider putting riot ammo into it. But other than that, I just tend to stick with a pistol.
Yeah, you're living in an apartment. Your options are going to be limited if you're worried about overpenetration, because just about anything will go through an apartment building wall. Even buckshot can go through a wall in an apartment building, or a slug. You really do got your hands tied there. And I don't know if you've actually seen this or not, but there are some places that have done tests that show that a 9mm will overpenetrate an apartment wall more than what an AR would. That's using a 5.56 round, because of the way the rounds stabilize and everything. It's really crazy, because you would think the AR would overpenetrate, but a lot of the testing that's been done, it doesn't overpenetrate as much as what 9mm does.
Yeah, at close ranges, the AR, a 5.56 round tends to hit and kind of fragment in the wall instead of punching through. At least from a lot of the testing I've seen. I think I've argued this with other people on YouTube before, but I've never tried it, and I said that's something I might do as a test someday, is set up a wall and run my own test on it, you know?
Yeah, and I would
Yes.
I'd be willing to bet that if they're right on that say an SBR or a AR pistol would be even more inclined to do that, because it's not getting the full velocity that you would get out of, say, a 16-inch barrel. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Snowy.
Oh, no, it's good. See, and that's the thing, is that I guess I'm kind of, because of the area I live in, I know anything can happen to anybody, but because of my apartment building, we have to have a key to get into both doors. So someone either has to let you in, or you have to have the key to get in. And then if you get past the thick door that's on the my actual door for my getting into my apartment, you get past my dog and you get past my alarm, then at that point, then you have really worked your way to get in. But for me, it's for a home defense gun, I'm not necessarily, that's not where my main worry tends to be for me.
Well, and my point of view of a lot of it, and you know, if the kids were older and there was the ability to have more of an understanding on don't touch, and you know, it's to where I could have more options as a nightstand gun and have, you know, shotguns and, you know, AR pistols or something close by, I would. Obviously, I'd still go through the measures to make sure they're not going to be playing with it. But, you know, if I could have it within reach to be able to use that as a nightstand gun, that's definitely a viable option. But in my point of view, my carry gun is going to do just as well, because most of your ranges within your household. Now, obviously, you want to be careful of kind of like what Snowy was talking about with over penetration, depending on where and what you're living in. But my carry gun's in to do just fine, because looking at our house, I mean, there's no shot you are going to, you know, honestly viably have, that you are going to be able to put shots on the correct target in our house that's going to be over maybe 3 to 5 yards at the most? It might be the biggest shot you might have.
Yeah, that's what is the statistics are most defensive shootings take place within 3 to 7 yards or somewhere along something.
Yeah, 3 to 7 tends to be the average. The big thing that I always, since we're kind of on the home defense topic, that I always talk to people about is everybody likes to attend these training classes, and that's great. And a lot of the training classes tends to be tactics, but one that seems to be forgotten, at least from the viewpoint that I've seen with a lot of training, is people don't get training in a close quarters combat situation, which essentially when you're in a home defense situation, that's what it is. So making sure you're clearing rooms and having a good communication standard and having some sort of actual action plan and practicing your actual shot placement. Because, for example, if somebody comes out and your kid is standing right next to them, or they've got your kid, your shot placement is probably is going to be the most important thing in that situation, because if you're not paying attention, you're going to put a giant canoe through your kid's head instead of the person that's actually threatening to do harm. So it's stuff like that where, for me, training kind of comes in too with a lot of it, and what you're going to feel most confident shooting should be what you're going to be using as a home defense gun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, throughout my life, I've had access to ARs. I'm not a big AR fan by any stretch of imagination, but based on the experience I've had using it, my nightstand gun is an AR pistol with a 10.5-inch barrel.
See, what I thought when I do put together that 9mm build, that might actually end up being one of my home defense guns. I don't know. Generally mine is whatever pistol I have on me. I almost always have one on me at the house. And then, like I said, anybody's watched my podcast and stuff has seen where my kind of gun room is there, but the wall in front of me literally has, ARs and AKs hanging on it. And I keep loaded mags in the bench drawer there for those. So if I have to go get something more, I'm just comfortable with an AR platform. So I'd probably grab that if I went above the pistol. Whereas like my wife is not going to carry around the house, but she's more comfortable with either a revolver or a shotgun. So that's what she generally has access to. But like target gunpowder, since I have kids running around the house, it kind of gets a little more complicated. That's why I usually rely more on the gun that's I'm carrying on me than anything else. Because like my gun room there is locked basically if I'm not home. Like right now it's locked up downstairs and my wife has a key to it. And then her gun is hidden in a spot that my daughter can't get to. So, but it's not as quick access as it would be, on my hip.
Right. Yeah, I carry my shield with me. I'm in my pajama bottoms right now, and I got my shield with me. It's that I carry that around the house. I get up to go to the bathroom at night, and I clip it on my pajamas, the holster and everything. And if something happens and I need to grab, I grab the AR. If my wife's home, she gets handed the shield, and then if my son's up, my HK is right there as well, to where I can load that real quick, and he gets handed the USP. So, or one of my daughters, whichever one of them's up anyway. So I have 3 guns upstairs in my bedroom that, if need be, I can distribute quickly to somebody. If I'm awake enough to realize what's going on and everything, boom, 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 I can hand out those. I have 3 people armed right away.
See, that's kind of the approach that my stepdad takes too. Is my stepdad, he kind of took Clint Smith's idea, and he's got like a kind of like a milk jug crate with loaded AR magazines in there, because he knows I've almost always got a Tavor in my car, and he's got multiple ARs sitting there because they've got large property. So if we're having to go out and walk in the property, my mom could stand in the doorway, hand people, here's your 3 magazines, and they can load it up, and off they go to go kind of check the property. And he kind of has that for in the house as well, because it's always come down to the fact of, if anybody's in the house and they know how to shoot a gun, they're getting a gun in a home defense situation. So that's kind of the same way he went. And then he's got a quick access on, he's got a gun cabinet that he bought from my fiance's dad, where it's got a magnetic lock on the big one, on the larger door for him. So he's able to just quickly get that open, and everybody can reach in and grab one of the guns that's in there. So maybe I think it is a good idea to have multiple different options. And I know, like, my fiance, she's more confident with her shotgun, so she would grab her shotgun before she actually went for a pistol or anything like that in a defensive home situation as well.
Now, I'll admit, as far as shotguns, that's why I've been looking at and kind of interested in getting a Shockwave. Is something that could be used possibly for home defense, and it's not like it's not like it's an overly high dollar shotgun there or anything.
Yeah, like she's got a Remington 870 in the house, which is a good option. Benelli would be a good option. I mean, there's a lot of affordable shotguns out there for a home defense option that for some reason, shotguns used to be the big thing that was used for home defense, but it seems as of lately, it's kind of been one of those guns that's got pushed to the wayside. And I think a lot of people forget that, hey, that's still a really viable option for a home defense gun.
Yeah,
I'll say something about. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say I'm not really keen on that Shockwave myself. I've handled one. I just didn't like the feel of it. What I would
you and I might be in the same.
As I would actually get one of the ones that's still not considered a shotgun. Yeah, I was gonna say get one of the ones that's still considered to be not a shotgun, just being considered a firearm. That's the pistol grip that you can put a brace on it, and I'd probably be more inclined to use one that's set up than with the Shockwave thing, because that just I don't know, it just didn't feel comfortable. The Steel Paul Harold's tagline, it just didn't fit my hand right. You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna do this, and it's not picking on Tardop or anything, but if you're going to get the Shockwave, that's something you're going to have to practice a whole hell of a lot with, because if nobody's ever shot, I've shot SBSs with pistol grips that are real shorty like that, and it's a tough thing to control, and it's a tough thing to aim properly unless you're I mean, they're fun, but you're basically hip firing the damn thing. To try and pull it up and aim it is kind of awkward, which is why I agree with Rich. Something with a brace, or even an 18-inch shotgun with a stock is not that tough to use if you practice with it, practice clearing rooms with it or something. It's not that bad. I just always preferred a stock on a shotgun, because it's not like you're going to be able to walk into the room and not aim. And you're talking about room distances. Your spread on, say, double-aught buck is only going to be maybe 2-3 inches, so you'd still have a pretty good chance of missing with something like buckshot out of it.
Oh yeah, and yeah, the big thing on that, and that's just, you're not hurting my feelings none. My big thing is just, like I said, my handgun tends to be my all-around defensive option. At home, my gun is always on my hip unless I'm going to bed usually. There's occasions where I may be having an off day, feel like crap or something. I don't have my gun right away because I'm just not thinking about it. But for the most part, every day, my Ruger or my Sig is on my hip, and I'm carrying that around the house. So yeah, that my carry options tend to be what I feel like my best options are.
Does anyone have any opinions on the panel where they would put a requirement on it for your home defense gun? It has to have the ability to take a light or a laser or some form of attachment with that, or does everybody kind of feel that that isn't a requirement that they really put on themselves?
I wouldn't.
Go ahead, Gunpowder.
For me, I'm just trying to think of a scenario where I would need one of those. And the way our house is set up, most lights in here are motion sensor lights, so I wouldn't need a laser or light or anything on it. Plus, if the house was dark, that would kind of, I don't know, in my opinion, that would kind of give away where you're at, kind of. I could be totally off. That's a definite possibility. But I'm just trying to think of a scenario if, someone breaks in, you're sleeping, and you're trying to go through the house in the dark. If that person doesn't have that stuff on their light and they see a red dot, they know it's on the opposite side of the room because it's hitting this wall. Or, if you're coming around a corner and you have a flashlight on your gun, then they're seeing where your location is at.
And see,
that's just my opinion, though.
that's kind of where I was about to go to. I guess our two minds think alike. Probably a big reason we're married. We like she said, we got motion sensors on the lights in our house. So to a point, that would give away your position too, maybe. But our motion sensors work far enough away that we can be. Y'all don't know the format of our house, but I could be in the living room walking to one of the hallways, and I don't actually have to get into that hallway, and the light already comes on. So it does give it away, and it doesn't. But then the other part is, like she was saying, having a light on your gun. I kind of agree with that. If you're in a dark room, I would feel like it could help you with seeing your target, but I can see the downside of if you're walking around with that light on. So like you should, if you got it, to identify your targets, you're running into an issue of they can see where you're at. They can tell where you're at if they're smart about it at all.
Yeah, with my house where we got set up, we have different places, so there's always light in the house. And especially with cats running around, if you have cats, they like to hide in places and run in front of you where you can't see them if it's dark, and try and trip you down the stairs and whatnot. So yeah, we got lights where we can see where the cats are at, so good lighting all the way around. But I still have a light on my AR, not so much to use as a flashlight. I have one that has a strobe function, actually becoming part of the weapon, because if I need to, I can hit that button on that strobe and I can just orient people for a brief amount of time before they realize what's happening. We've tested it on my kids and stuff. When you hit somebody with the strobe on that flashlight, you cannot tell where somebody is standing at that point.
Yeah, see, and I guess I'm kind of in a mixed opinion there, because like for me, I use it in the same way that Rich does. Is I'm going to use a light more to blind the person and to make it harder for them to see, not necessarily to use it to clear. And the other philosophy that I have is if I can't see my target, then I'm not going to shoot at it, because I can't guarantee what's actually going on behind that target. So for me, I would use a weapons light more of a disorientation tool than anything else.
I do like the idea of a strobe light. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think Gary was going to chime in there too. Go ahead, Gary.
Well, in my scenario in my house, I don't ever. There's always a light on in here. I don't ever turn out the living room light, and it's really only about 15, 20 feet distance between my hallway and the front door. So there's not a whole lot of, if somebody's coming in that front door, I got a pretty good idea of where they are. And I don't see any need for any kind of light or red dot or anything in my house. I mean, unless there's power failure or something like that, that'd be about it.
See, and I use the same philosophy. I carry a flashlight on me, and we have some around the house that are there more for power outages than anything. But we have some kind of station throughout the house for people to grab if there's a power outage. But
yeah, there's one on my nightstand.
Yeah, but like you said, there's almost always a light on, a night light in the hallway or the bathroom light, because you got kids in the house, they get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. They don't like the dark. So I would be more prone to use my flashlight. I don't like weapons mounted lights, and I've never really considered it from like a blinding standpoint, like they were saying. But I don't like pointing my light and my gun at the same time. Like if I want to shine my light on something, I don't want to be muzzling whatever I'm shining my light on. If you know what you can see what I'm saying. I'd rather be able to shine my light around a corner and not be pointing the gun at it in case, what if it's my kid around the corner? Now I'm pointing a pistol at my kid,
Yeah,
But-
see, I guess I'm the weird
Yeah.
one. I'm required to have, for work as a security contractor, I'm required to have a weapons light on. So I no matter what, I have to have one. But yeah, that's why I like to ask what other people's opinions are, because my situation tends to be quite different from others.
Yeah, and the light that I have with the strobe function, we're not talking like 200-300 lumens on that thing. We're talking 1,000. When you hit somebody with that strobe function, they ain't seen anything for a couple of minutes afterwards. All you see is, how when you blink and you're looking at a light and you got that blurb from a light that's like in your eye every time you blink.
Yeah.
That's all you see if I hit you with that strobe function on there. It's really disorienting and blinding for a good couple minutes, maybe.
and like Snowy North, if you're required for it with work, you train with a weapons light too. Like I'm kind of old. There wasn't a whole lot of weapons mounted lights when I was younger and started getting into this stuff. So, basically the standard back there was to have a separate flashlight. And that's just the way I started out. And that's kind of the way I've continued is if I train with a light, it's holding a flashlight in my left hand and the gun in my right hand,
Yeah, Midnight's saying that he likes them on a pistol. I guess this is directed to you carrying a separate flashlight from your weapon and saying you don't like the weapons light RL because that allows him to have a hand freed up in case he has to open up a door or something. He doesn't have to worry about putting the flashlight in his pocket or setting it down before doing so. He can just open the door and have the light still on the gun. And he can
See,
where he's looking and everything and still be able to see. And another point he makes is a lot of people think that having the light on the gun at somebody, but some of those throw off a pretty wide beam. And he's right. The one I have on my AR, that thing throws off a pretty wide beam. The beam on the one on my AR can go out to 500 yards. So
see, I agree with RL on having a separate light for that fact. Like he was saying, I don't want to be caught up aiming a gun at my kids at any point. I'd rather not do that. And I can understand that, just because you aim your gun at something doesn't mean you're going to shoot it. But I'd just rather not do that in the first place. So I do kind of like the idea of having them separate, if I do need a flashlight. Like I said, on any normal day, like Gunpowder said, we do have motion sensor lights. So it's not as big of a concern here unless there is a power outage. And, I'd rather have one in hand.
yeah, that brings up another point though with the one on my AR. If I have to go outside for something, I can point that AR to the ground. And if I have that on the max setting, on the 1000 lumen setting, which I can do for a couple of hours on a fresh battery, because it uses rechargeable batteries, I can point the AR at the ground, and that thing produces enough light where I can still see everything around me without actually having it pointed at anybody.
Yeah, like
And
the one
I was to say, as far as that too, even handheld. When you talk about handheld lights, there's handheld lights we've got sitting right in front of me on this kitchen counter that I could literally. It's not something. They're strong enough that I can see, and it's not something that it's going to impede me from being able to open a door easily and make it to where I can't see. And there was also, and I don't see where it's went to, but we've got headlamps all over this house. So like if I had to go outside for something, one, we're in the city, so there's street lights on our street. Not great ones, but they're there. But if I have to go outside for something, there's headlamps I could throw on too that would work just as well.
Yeah, see, I'm just thinking about it because we use the TLR1 for our weapons lights, and those are 800 lumens, and those things will light up an area without actually pointing them at anything. My biggest complaint with weapons lights and actually dedicated weapons lights is how expensive they are. I mean, for $124 single purpose unit, that's where I have a big complaint with a lot of weapons lights is just the typical cost that's associated with them.
Yeah, the one I have on my AR, it's a multi-purpose tactical flashlight. I can take it off my AR and take that weapon mount off, and I can throw it in a scabbard and throw it on my belt. I don't have one that's a just dedicated weapon light. In fact, I have another one that is my everyday carry flashlight. It's a 1200 lumen flashlight with also has a strobe function on it.
Well, and I'll say something here too when we get talking about, you know, kind of like high dollar flashlights and everything, kind of like what Snowy was saying. Most of the flashlights I've owned, I think the most expensive one I have owned maybe was $30 or $40, and it was a tiny little flashlight. It was a little Bushnell that was, it was 1,000 lumens easy. I can't remember the exact one. I lost the freaking flashlight, but yeah, it was like 1,000 lumens. And that brings me to a point on a lot of the flashlight stuff is, you know, we talk about putting weapons lights, you know, and it goes the same thing for optics. You know, people talk about spending tons of money on optics. I've got, I don't know how many guns, usually my hunting rifles that I throw optics that I can go and buy for 70, 80 bucks and throw onto a hunting rifle and take out. Thing's been knocked around and it's sat in our cabinet and everything else, and it's stayed on zero for years now. And see, that's a big thing is if I'm going to go buy weapons lights, I can almost guarantee it's probably going to be a little bit cheaper version. And usually I just go buy a handheld because for the same price that I could get a weapons light that is kind of it's halfway decent, I can get a regular flashlight that's pretty damn good, you know, up at whether it's Academy, Walmart, something like that.
And I'm in a position where I carry a flashlight for work. I use a flashlight every day. So I always have a flashlight on me anyway. So, but you know, even if I had a weapons mounted light, I'd still have a separate flashlight probably.
That's why I like the little Streamlight Pro Tac I had, because I could mount it to a hat.
You guys see what I'm holding up right now on my camera?
Yeah, I see it.
That's my everyday carry flashlight. The one I have on my AR is very similar. It's just instead of being a Claris like what this one is, it's a what is it? It's a Phoenix. So basically the one on my AR, I can set it up just like how this one's set up, except it doesn't have the power button on the side like what this one does. That's the one I carry every day on my belt if I'm going out somewhere or what have you.
See, I stopped carrying. What I noticed is when it comes to my EDC, as I'm kind of a minimalist, and I started realizing that I'm carrying these flashlights and I'm using them maybe once a month, and I'm carrying them daily, so I stopped carrying them. But I'm thinking about picking up. I had a Streamlight, what is it, a Pro Tac single AAA flashlight, nice little thin flashlight, 200 lumen. Thinking about picking up another one of those and starting to put that in, because I love those things because they have the option with the clip to where it can be a pocket clip or it can actually clip to a ball cap, which works perfect for me because I'm always wearing a ball cap. So
the thing I like about this one and also the one on my AR is they both have take the same rechargeable battery, and I can also put CR123s in them if necessary. If I put the CR123 in, they can't go up to max illumination, but I can still use the strobe function on it and whatnot. So they got two different kinds of batteries I can use on them if necessary.
yeah, see, and for an EDC flashlight or anything along those lines, that's a requirement for me, as I don't want to have to go out and buy a watch battery or any of those special batteries. I want it to be just a normal, either rechargeable battery or a normal AAA or AA flashlight, and I don't want any of this fancy battery crap that I have to go out and spend $60 for a single battery.
Yeah, and the batteries that this one that they take, the charger I have for them, I can run it off of a USB port. So if we're in the car or something, I can just plug it into the USB port in the car, and it can charge it. And this flashlight here, one actually has a USB port on it, so I can just charge the battery while it's in the flashlight itself. I don't have to remove it. I can just plug that in and still use the flashlight while it's plugged in if I have to use it in the car or something, if it's got a charge.
And see, in a sense, me and Snowy kind of fall into that same category. I'm somewhat minimalist. I've gotten out of habit of carrying a flashlight as of late. You know, my thing is if I'm going to carry it and use it as far as a flashlight, because I do have a tendency to lose things like flashlights. I've lost pocket knives before, things like that. I'm not carrying or keeping a hold of on a daily basis something that's going to be a high dollar thing. I tend to be very budget minded when it comes to stuff like that. That I don't really want to spend a whole lot of money on. It doesn't have to be, for me, it doesn't have to be like a tactical flashlight, or it doesn't have to be a tactical rifle or pistol light, stuff like that. If it does the job I need it to do, that's all I'm worried about.
Well, you may want to look in the side chat. The flashlight that I was talking about, and they have a bunch of different other options on there too. I just posted it in the side chat. It's $26, single AAA flashlight, nice, small, thin, and everything like that. So maybe that would be a good option for you, because I think that's the same one that I'm going to go back to using.
Yeah, see, with me, I live in a rural area, so we don't have street lights and everything outside. So if you're going outside at night, you need a flashlight where you're going to cast, especially in the summer when you got the snakes out around and all this other crap at night. You have to see what's in front of you. You need that's the main reason why I got it, and I've used it more than just at home before. Like if something happened and we had to get out of the car for a flat or something, I've had to use this before, because, like I said, there's not like one of the major areas like Cumberland around here, or Martinsburg or Winchester or something. There are no street lights. Everything's
I completely understand that.
Completely dark. The main reason why I got the flashlight I can have on my belt that's going to put out a decent amount of light is for that kind of situation.
Well, no, I completely understand that. And you know, when I say minimalist, you know, like Snowy's talking about these little flashlights that are like 200 lumens. It was just like I said before.
Yeah,
I picked up a $30 flashlight at Walmart that did 1,000, or I think it was 1,000 or 1,200 lumens. I can't remember the exact lumens on it, but it was right around that. And I mean, it was a $30 flashlight, little small compact one. Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If I can find something that's more budget friendly than the next thing, and it does the same exact thing, that's what I'm going for.
And this was a birthday present too, so.
Oh, okay, that's a totally different story. Anybody wants to buy me a $100 flashlight for my birthday, that's a really nice flashlight that has every kind of, you know, mode possible. Hey, I'm all for that.
Yeah, this one's normally 80. I got it. It was 60 when I got it on sale at Going Gear.
Yeah, see, the thing that drives me nuts is on a lot of these flashlights nowadays, when it's an EDC flashlight for me, like even that ProTac that I posted in the side chat, I want it just to be simply on. I don't want it to have multi-functions on it, to where like the one that I posted there, the only thing I do hate about it is if you click it real quick and accidentally hit it twice, it turns to its strobe function. Then it's got a light and a bright, to where I prefer something where it's simple. On, off. That's all I want.
See, I'm the same camp. I like having like on, off, maybe like the one I have now. I can touch the back and have a momentary on, let go, or I can click it and have it on. That's really kind of all I prefer for mine.
Well, yeah. We come from a little bit of a hunting background, so for us, you know, yeah, on and off's great, but then, you know, we're not talking strobe, we're usually talking on, off, red, green, you know, your color spectrum.
Yeah, with this one, if you're using the power button on the side, you just hold that power button in, and it goes to strobe it just from holding the power button in. And my point again, what I was trying to say was, I wasn't picking on your $200 lumen flashlight. All my point was, if the lumens you want on your flashlight could also depend on where you live. If you're in a rural area, you're going to want something that's going to put out a little bit more light than if you're in a city area. Because, like I said, here we don't have the street lights, whereas you guys, you'll have the street lights and whatnot that'll help illuminate things too if you have to go outside. You need to consider too when you're looking for your flashlight.
Yeah, the street light on my road gets shot out at least 3 times a year by the kids with the goddamn BB gun, so that thing's pretty useless for me 90% of the year.
Man, you just can't get any luck, can you, Snowy?
Yeah, well,
paper thin walls where you got to be careful what weapon you're using for home defense. Then you got idiots shooting out your street lights. I mean, man, you just can't win.
well, that's what happens when you're a cheap bastard and live in one of the cheaper apartments. Like I was talking about it the other night, but me and my fiance are we're actually starting to look at different apartments or starting to look at a house and stuff. And I'm kind of getting excited because I've been a cheap prick. I pay $585 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. That's actually a large apartment, and I can afford to go up to another one, but I just choose to live in the cheaper stuff because I've got other stuff I'd like to spend my money on. But some of the stuff is just kind of getting ridiculous. So we're definitely looking at moving. And like I said, shooting out a street light, that just really gets annoying. And then it's gotten better over the last year, but it used to be where we'd have a bunch of people calling the cops, and there'd be cops on the road every day, ambulances on the road every day. This year on New Year's, there was a guy who came up from Illinois visiting a buddy. The buddy had went out and bought a brand new 44 Mag, and they thought it'd be fun while they were pissed drunk to play Russian roulette. And when they got around in the cylinder and it didn't shoot after like pulling the trigger 3 times, one of the guys decided to point it at his buddy and pull the trigger. And guess what? On the 4th shot, it decided to shoot his buddy. So stupid stuff like that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I was gonna say, you said $285 a month, dude. $285 a month here wouldn't even get you a room in a crack house.
Oh, we pay $585, not $285. Sorry if I said.
Oh, I thought you said $285. I was about to be like, man, that ain't even getting you a room anywhere. Might get you a room at a Days Inn.
Yeah, I think that would get in my area. You'd maybe get a room that would be, well, you'd get a jail cell. That's essentially what you'd get.
$585 in Morgantown, where we're looking to move, will get you a room in a college where you got to share with 4 roommates. Each bedroom's like $500 and some dollars. It's like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Oh no, I had a studio apartment for $5 something back before me and Gunpowder got married. So that's reasonable around here.
Yeah, see, it's kind of literally, I live in the town that's right on the border between 3 different counties. So if I stay in Walworth County, which is the county that I'm in, it's one of the cheapest counties in the state to live in, but it's also one of the nicest. You move one to your left, you're in Waukesha County, which is the county I grew up in. The same apartment that I have right now in the same condition would be $1,000 in that county.
Yeah, it's something you guys need to take consideration. The last time I rented anything was in the early 90s in Pittsburgh, and we were renting a 2-bedroom apartment for $350 a month. So, and that was part of a duplex. It was an upstairs, downstairs duplex, and we were paying $350 for 2 bedrooms. So, yeah.
Well, so you were renting when I was probably like 3 years old, because I was born in 91. So,
oh, screw you.
Yeah, this was 94, 95. So, yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. Gary, what were apartments when you were a kid? Like $20 a month?
Well, not that cheap, no. But $150, you could get you one cheap one.
Well, so like the area that I'm in, it's kind of funny. Well, not really funny for a lot of people, but it's one of the areas you had a lot of people that came up from Illinois and they started buying summer homes up here. And then when the market really crashed, everything dropped, and you can still go around and find some of these foreclosures where you can pick them up for $5,000 and they need very little work in them because the bank's just trying to get their money back out of them. So that's kind of the option that we're starting to look at. But yeah, in my area, we had a lot of that where people decided they were going to buy a second home, and then the market crashed on them, and we ended up, a lot of them around here ended up going for pretty cheap, and some of them are still going for real cheap too.
Well, my problem was I grew up in a small town, and we had a lot of older houses that were for rent, and you could rent those, like I say, $100 and $150 a month. And then they announced they were building a nuclear power plant about 5 miles from the town I grew up. So they started getting a bunch of construction people coming in. And all of a sudden, all these houses that used to rent for $100 and $150 a month, they were doubling, tripling the rent on them because they could get it out of these construction people.
Yeah, and that's what's happening. So the Amazon facility I work for is in a city called Kenosha, and it used to be where you'd be able to rent for $500-600 a month and get a pretty decent apartment. But now they've got Amazon, Uline's got their facility out there, Foxconn's putting their facility in the same area. So a $500 apartment is what it's realistically worth. Those are starting to rent for $1,100 to $1,200 because they're starting to get all of those larger companies putting facilities up in that area. Then you have Amazon, who's looking at putting 2 or 3 more within a 15 to 20 mile radius of where the facility I work in is at.
Right.
See, we rented a 2-bedroom house the last time I rented for, like, say, I think we paid $485 a month. But now, with all the gas people, when the gas wells started, they started doing fracking in PA. It's shot up. Most of the rent in the area pretty much doubled in a 5-year period.
Yeah, that'll happen. How did we get to talking about what rents were and stuff anyway? I completely forgot how we got to that
Rabbit
point.
hole.
I remember. Yeah. We didn't go down the rabbit hole. We fell down it somehow. Don't remember how.
Guess that's what happens when we don't necessarily have a set of
We got
topics
too
wanna
close
talk
to
about.
the edge. The dirt slipped. We all fell in. It's okay.
Right.
I will
Oh,
say
no,
it's,
that's when you have set topics. Trust me.
at least it's not a rabbit hole like we always fall into on
Oh, yeah.
Hatfield's chats.
It wasn't last week when we had who was it that was in here? Dead Horse, I think, was in here, and Ellis
Too
and
hotty,
everything.
everybody.
Yeah, we were 3 hours, and it was just one big rabbit hole the whole time. You were in here for part of that, weren't you, RL?
I believe so. I'm
think
involved
Gary-
in a lot of rabbit holes. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
That is more than we needed to know about you, RL.
Tardot wasn't here when it really started getting good because he had already left after an hour last week, and it just got worse after you left.
So I ended up winning off of Clover's chat from Tandem Cross, and these grips that they sent me, mind you, I don't even own this gun, so now I have to go out and buy a Ruger 2245. But these grips they sent me are absolutely amazing. I just got them today, and then on top of that, I was only supposed to get the grips, and they also sent me a aftermarket safety and stuff. So I'm sitting here fondling these things tonight, and they feel really comfortable. So I'm excited to pick up a gun and actually get them on there because these things are pretty cool.
Now, here's the thing: is it just a 2245, or is it like the Mark IV 2245s, or Mark II? Yeah, is it just your regular 2245, or which?
It's
Because
the
I'm looking
Mark-
at a 2245 also.
It's the Mark IV 2245 is what they're labeled as.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean the grips they're made out of it's almost like a rubber material, but then the actual grips themselves have a harder back plate on them. It feels like they kind of put a resin on the back of them, and they feel absolutely great. I mean, and they're definitely set up to give a full-handed grip. So I personally would recommend these just off of messing with them, and they seem to be really high quality. Once I pick up the pistol, I'm going to do some more testing, but yeah, I'm really impressed with it. And Tandem Cross seems to be a really great company, so little shameless promotion for them, just showing off what I got today.
Anybody else got anything else they want to bring up? Anybody out in the chat have anything they want to talk about?
Phoenix is talking about food. He said he did it 3 times, so Midnight's going to show up soon.
Yeah, Midnight shows up when you talk food like Beetlejuice, when you call his name.
Especially since Outlaw's chat just finished up a few minutes ago, so.
Yeah, well, speaking of food, I've actually still got a video I need to shoot some point soon with those MREs I bought at the gun show. I was gonna do a video of the kids. I wasn't doing it with gunpowder, but I'm gonna pretty much play mix and match and not let them know what it is and see how they like it and see if they can tell me what it is.
You got to get them on which one is better, the peanut butter or the cheese?
Oh no, these are like your big pack high class MREs that are like one of them was pork flavored beef steak or fake steak strips, something like that. I forgot what it was exactly, but yeah, we've got a couple of different flavors going.
Gotcha. Yeah, Megan and I are actually looking at picking up a good chunk of MREs because we both want to go hike the Appalachian Trail. So we're starting to look at picking up and stockpiling on those soon.
Yeah, pork flavored beef. That sounds quite interesting.
Yeah, I'd have to read it. It's something along those lines, but with it being an MRE, it's going to be probably like some kind of fake processed, not real meat type of situation. But that's something they had them there, and it was kind of interesting. They were kind of limited on their flavors, but they had them. I've seen them up at our Army Navy store too, and they've got the ones that are like they're the big packs, but they're like $3 a piece. Yeah, I've thought about before that that might be something to start stockpiling on if shit hits the fan or something.
One caveat when it comes to buying MREs: do not buy veggie omelets. Whatever you do not buy veggie omelets.
See, I forgot which one it was that not RL Rocall bought while we were at the gun show, because he did his little unboxing of his package that I had to send up to him, and he pulled out that MRE, and I remember him saying something about like that one or one of them. I think it was the one he bought was one of those disgusting ones or something, just for the shits and giggles.
I think he had like the lemon chicken or something. That wasn't supposed to be very good either.
The lemon chicken ones are absolutely horrid.
Yeah, I think that's the one he had. I never had the lemon chicken one, and thank God I had food allergies. I couldn't eat the veggie cheese omelet, so I never experienced that one either. I heard a lot of people complain about the hot dog and bean ones, but I actually like the hot dog and bean ones. You put the little itty bitty hot dogs in the beans, mix it up, heat it up a little bit. And
See,
not too bad.
The ones I liked, because like I've said before in my videos, my dad he's a ex-Army, and he used to go and bring that stuff home, and he'd have us eat it. Just like I've said before, it wasn't that we didn't have the money. He would just have us eat it. One day we're going to do MREs just for the hell of it. And I actually used to like the chili and mac one.
I think everyone kind of did that, though, because my grandpa did what was called the hobo meals, where it was potatoes, carrots, and like the mini weenies cut up, and you stuck it in the oven for a little bit, and that's what you had, or else just sliced cheese and apples and stuff like that. We had the money to eat, but sometimes it was nice just to have some of those small, simple, poor man's meals that a lot of people don't really think about as a viable option.
And when I was in high school, we got a lot, junior RTC, we got a lot of MREs eaten because we would go on FTXs with Pitt's ROTC program, and they always supplied lunches. And guess what the lunch was that they always supplied? Have an MRE. So yeah, we got to eat lots of MREs when I was in junior ROTC in high school.
That's what we did in Boy Scouts. Is a lot of the time it was just cheaper to I'll get us all some MREs and deal with that.
Wow, y'all didn't just have to stop on our behalf.
No, we had actually, as soon as you came back in, is when we had just finished saying what we were saying about the MREs. I just paused to see if anybody else had a comment to make about them.
Well, we had to wait for the Queen to get back.
It's all gunpowder.
And listen, that is why Snowy North Gunslinger is my favorite.
Hey, as long as you don't go plotting with my fiance when you guys are talking, then I'm all happy.
Nope.
Oh,
I will
she's
be
already been
talking
known.
you up.
She's
So
already been
much
known
now.
to do that. She, her and roll calls were kind of plotting against us for that entire
You
trip
only
to Tulsa.
think we were plotting against you. We were actually talking nice about y'all. But you know what? Screw you, Tardot.
Well, so I told Megan about Tulsa, and she's like, "Oh, is Gunpowder going to be going?" Because she started talking to some of the females through the chat, and she's really excited because she wants to start doing some YouTube stuff, and she's excited to see the female presence in it. So that's really cool that we're able to bring people in like that, because Megan's into hunting, she's into guns, she likes all of that stuff, she likes hiking, she's a real outdoorsy girl, but she's like, it seems to me from what I've seen, it's always been more of a male-dominated thing when it comes to those stuff. And then I showed her Gun Gals chats and Gunpowder's channel and that guy's wife and those types of channels, and she was really impressed. So it kind of really got her to start looking, maybe I should give this a shot. So I thought that was really
yeah.
cool.
I mean, if y'all go on that hiking trip and stuff, tell her to turn on her camera. That'll get a lot of views, just seeing a girl out there doing that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, but that's something that we're both planning on documenting, because if we do the Appalachian Trail, for those of you guys that don't know, it's a hike that pretty much starts in Mexico and goes all the way up to Canada, and you hike through the entire United States. And it's one of those where we take a leave from work and we make sure we're financially set, obviously, but it's a 6 month to 8 month hike process that goes through that. So for us, that's going to be a huge portion of content throughout the way. And we also thought about kind of mixing it in, because we both like hunting, and starting to mix it in with maybe going out and doing some of our hunts while we're doing that trail hike as well.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You talking the Appalachian Trail on the East Coast?
I did not know it took that long.
Yeah, that's the one that we're thinking about doing.
Okay, yeah.
That's really awesome.
You're
Yeah,
gonna
that's a long hike.
you're gonna come fairly close to where I live when you go through PA. It starts
Yeah,
in
and
southern Georgia and ends right up in Maine.
Yeah, and that's something that we've thought about doing too, is if when we do go out hiking and go on some of these longer hikes, is if we can find people that from the gun channel side or from YouTube, stop by and hang out with them for a day. It's one of those things where after we get married, it's something that we both really want to do. So kind of try mixing in a bunch of different types of events and make it a once in a lifetime deal for us. So it's something that we've seriously been talking about and are already starting to put money away and start banking time to be able to go and do so.
That is really awesome.
That reminds, getting back to roll call for a second, in case y'all haven't noticed or been paying attention to his chats, we're all invited to his wedding next year.
Heck yeah, I'm going. Cindy and I are already planning what we're going to do the week we're there.
Yeah, we already knew that before roll call was talking about it on chats. That's why I was giving him hell the other day, because he kept saying, "Oh yeah, everybody's invited." I'm like, damn, I hope y'all are renting out the Vatican.
Yeah, I know. I was there when you were doing it because that was two of us were tag teaming him on that one.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You were tag teaming with my husband? That's a little weird.
And not in that way. Get your head out the gutter, Gunpowder.
Sorry if my mind wasn't in the gutter. It'd probably be homeless.
Well, and that's
Saturday.
Let's not turn this into an Ellis chat, please. We did that last week.
Speaking of, I think Ellis is about to go live. He sent me a link. Oddly enough.
Yeah, I just got one too. I guess he hasn't had enough.
Hey, yeah, I just got one.
I must
So-
not be cool enough.
On that note, are we about ready to wrap this up? I know we kind of
One I feel left
trailed
out.
off. How dare he not invite the gizzard?
That's all right, Snowy and Gizzard. I'll send y'all the link.
It's all right if he doesn't. want me.
Ellis never gives me a link unless he throws it out in the chat, bastard.
I'll send you one too. We'll all just hijack his channel.
There you go. Do you really want a link to an Ellis chat is what you have to ask yourself, though.
Yeah, that's the real question. Because his chats are the king of rabbit holes.
Well, I'm trying to enjoy these weekend
I don't
chats as much as
know,
possible.
Gunpowder. You weren't on that first B Pro chat, so I don't know. He's got a lot of living up to do to make it to that point yet.
I wasn't on the what chat?
Alan B Pro's first one.
When he threw the
Oh,
link out
yeah.
on YouTube.
Ellis has not had Smeggy almost get his ass kicked in a bar because he starts swearing out two guys as they're leaving, like he did in Alan B Pro's first chat.
Oh
which
my
was
gosh.
freaking hilarious. We all thought Smeggy was talking to us. We all got real serious for a second. It's like, whoa, what the fuck? You talking to us? He's like, no. This is a bunch of these two assholes that are leaving the bar. I was like, Smeggy, you realize we're not there to have your back, right? And then everybody just lost it in the chat at that point.
Well, I'm trying to enjoy these weekend chats before I end up getting sent back to work again because I went back for one day and got sent home and put back on leave of absence. So who knows how long I'll be able to make it to these weekend ones again.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have no life other than work. So this is just what I do now. Gary, did you get a link yet?
Where'd he send them, on gun channels or in the mail?
I got an email.
Yeah, I got an email.
No, I did not.
Speaking of that, you don't have a life except for to go into chats, RL. My wife the other night asked me, is he in every single chat? I was like, yeah, he's a trucker, and this is what he does to pass time. She's like, oh, okay, now it makes sense.
That's exactly it. Hey, at least I'm back in Free State now. I left New Jersey about 20 minutes ago, so.
Yeah, I always know when RL is bored because all of a sudden I'll start a live stream and he'll be the first one there.
Yep. Oh, somebody's live. I got something to do now. You ought to see the amount of data that I use in a month on my cell phone, too. It is obnoxious.
It's better than talking to yourself. Sitting there in the cab, just talking to yourself as you're going down the street. Right hand talking to left hand, whatnot. I've actually seen
Yeah, I
people
would do that just to make people look at me.
I guess I'm not cool enough for the Hatfield chat. I just got Tardot's link to this chat.
Well, like we said before, Tardot's obligated to invite you to any chat he's involved with because if not, he's gonna get throat punched.
You son.
Nah.
I just got a new subscriber, too. Philly Rope. I don't know if that's from out in your chat or not, but thanks if it was. The way I'm driving right now, I can't really look at the YouTube chat, so. Not ignoring you if you were out there, but thank you.
Apparently I wasn't subscribed either, so.
Oh, I see how you are. I'm in almost every one of your chats, and you can't even sub to me.
I actually picked up another subscriber too, just a few minutes ago. It was like Jeff F or Jeff S or something.
Oh, okay.
So
I
yeah,
have to look.
I don't get it. I keep picking up subs on my account, but yet our Unloaded Media subs ain't going anywhere. It's like, people, you're subbing to the wrong channel. Like,
oh, it's just where you do a little
videos
comment.
on mine. Come on.
Do a little comment on there about go subscribe to Unloaded Media, and I think what we do, I think what we end up with on Unloaded Media is due to the tags, because I'll tag myself, Gunpowder, you, and I'll just kind of tag everybody in it just to see, you know, on the tags at the bottom, just to see if we can pick up subs through that way, just through the search engine.
I was hoping we would have got more subs off of Sarge's show the other night, because I was promoting the hell out of this channel at the end of it. Like,
So, I did Sarge's show last weekend. I picked up like 4 or 5 subs by the time that show was over.
Yeah, I gained a few from Sarge's chat the other night too.
yeah, I was on that one too. If you remember, I was having microphone problems that night. At least it wasn't my internet for once that was causing the issue.
See, I think I've been picking up a lot of search engine chats, because a lot of it came from like Wanamaker stuff and some of my carry vlog videos and stuff, it seems like.
Yeah, my Security 9 video, when I made that went, I had 400 views on that in the first week. And I know I gained a few subs from that one.
Well, and see, like with some of the channels blowing up lately, I've been trying to test something out, because I used to follow kind of like what Clover would say about, you know, when you go to put tags in on your videos and stuff, to, you know, kind of put detailed tags, you know, 3 and 4 word tags that match what your content is.
Yep, there they go again. Who was the first one to go this time?
Actually, I'm looking at it now. My most popular video that I have is one where I'm talking shit about why people shouldn't care what other people carry.
All right, I'm back now.
Howdy.
But yeah, I've been testing, throwing in like a bunch of 1-word tags, like guns, firearms, just to see, you know, maybe if it picks up on that in the search engine.
Yeah, see, I got to start doing tags, because I actually don't put them in my videos at all, which is something that I know is pretty stupid on my part, but I got to figure out what they want, because I thought it was something that was supposed to just be like hashtags on Instagram, but apparently it's completely different.
Your tags are literally just going to be, you just type the words in, and you just, if you're doing it on a computer, you just type it in and hit enter, and it'll it'll automatically add it to that video, the tag. And it literally is just for the search engine. It's nothing. It's for the search engine and for the algorithm, as far as if somebody watches a lot of videos that have like Second Amendment content, and you have Second Amendment tagged on a video or your channel, and you've got it on, you know, different spots, then it'll, you know, pop it onto their feed when they first jump on YouTube. The big thing is, and I've seen where it works, Clover's talked about it, is like when you go to your description, you know, it's like, so one of my videos, the title is Carry Vlog Week 4, The Librarian. So in my description, I need to put in some way, shape, or form. Doesn't actually have to say it in the exact sequence, but I have to have Carry Vlog in there, The Librarian, Week 4, my channel name. And then when you go down to your tags, you have to get those same words in there. And what happens is it now has it in there 3, 4, 5 times. And so you get a kind of, I guess, a bump on the search engine and on feeds, because if you have it in there so many times, then it'll bump it. So like if somebody would search librarian and I've got librarian in there 4 or 5 times, it may bump it above some other videos. That's kind of the idea behind it, but it doesn't always work exactly that way.
See, I've never
Gotcha.
tagged the video. I don't even know if I can. You do it on mobile or not?
You can. You got to download. It's. I think you can do it on the regular YouTube app. I'm not sure, but I always use there's a YouTube Creator app or a YouTube Studio app.
Yeah, I have Creator Studio.
Yeah, you have that app on there. You go into that app and you go to edit your video. And if you go down to the very bottom, it has a little spot where you can put your tags in. You just got to put, instead of hitting enter, you put a comma between each tag.
I'll have to try that maybe on some of mine.
But I'm starting to wonder if maybe like some one-word tags would help out more, because if you do, maybe doing a combination of like the detailed tags along with some one-word tags, because if you think about it, like when people go on to search for stuff, like I was thinking about it the other day, when I go to search on Google and I'm just looking for news articles about, say, guns, I'll type guns or firearms or Second Amendment into the search and just go to news. So I'm wondering if that concept really could transfer over to YouTube, because I'm betting a lot of people probably, if they're searching for something, they're not necessarily, unless they're searching for, a specific gun, learning how to pull it apart or reassemble it or clean it or whatever else. I mean, if they're just searching for gun content, I'm wondering how many people just run in and search guns. And so, that's kind of a missing point that I'm hitting, because I like I said, I try to put a lot of detailed tags in mine.
Oh, I must have made someone mad. I just lost a subscriber. Oops. I'm walking around, or I'm moving around my dashboard looking at some stuff, and all of a sudden I had 38, and all of a sudden now I'm down to 37. I think it was because I ignored
Or somebody
his channel.
sat there and put their subscribers to private.
See, I don't know how true that is or not, but I think a big thing too is, we've had this conversation on a lot of chats, but we've noticed on the YouTube thing where somebody will subscribe to you, and we've even had it happen to us where I've subscribed to. I'm trying to think of one of them that happened to, but I think it was Ghost or Clover, one of those channels that I've been subscribed to for a while, and I go back in and I notice nothing's popping on my feed, and I know they're going live or whatever else, so I go to their channel and realize that, for some reason YouTube's taking my subscription off there.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm wondering, if that's what happened with Black Cat, because I'm like 99.9% sure I hit subscribe on his channel at some point, and I wasn't as of tonight, so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen
YouTube hates the cats.
This
That
last
happens all the time. I lose subs like that.
This last one, Hatfield just started, appears to be unlisted. It's not showing up on his channel at all.
Ah. Ooh,
Well, he may not have.
Hatfield chat.
He either may not have scheduled it too. That could be a possibility.
He
Well,
may just be waiting
still
for
show
someone to
up.
show up.
It should still show up on his channel.
Well, that's if he's gone live yet. If he hadn't gone live and he hadn't scheduled it, then it may not show up on his channel yet.
He's probably waiting for all of us before he goes live.
He's waiting for somebody probably to hop over there, and we're just all over here.
Well, he didn't send me a link, so apparently I'm not good enough for the Hatfield chat
I
anymore.
forwarded links to everybody that said they didn't have
want me on his channel. I ain't gonna barge in there.
Well,
We should-
I say we wrap this up. I'm gonna go see where that link takes me, because I just got it.
Okay, you let me know, because it probably he's gonna talk about me or something. I don't know.
Oh, Midnight
Tell
just
him,
said that I go
cluck,
right
cluck.
past him for the Appalachian Trail, so I know where I'm stopping for food on my way.
Oh, the Waffle House.
Tell him to make you a sandwich.
All right. Or should we exit us and all go to Hatfield all at the same time and screw them all up?
All those who have keys, yep.
Oh, Gary, he'll give you a link. It wouldn't.
Oh, I never got an invite. Carl.
Yeah.
We're a duo. We can't not both be in the chat.
On his channel. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, I have to have my side chick
Yeah.
in.
This.
And there has to be a chicken when there's a kitty in there, if you know what I mean.
That's kind of twisted, but okay.
Well, I don't want to say what we normally say on
That's weird.
Rich's
I just
channel.
literally just got the
That's
email.
all right. I'm kind of used to twisted anymore.
I wonder if Bob has a link. That'll get twisted in a hurry.
It can't be any worse than last night.
Damn well, please. I already got us in 102 earlier because I dropped an F-bomb without paying attention to what I was saying. So,
Oh, we go way above 102 for Outlaw, though. I've gotten like 1,000,002, I think, on an Outlaw chat already.
Yeah.
Gary actually just dumped our video last night because of some of the shit that was going on.
Yeah, I dumped that one. It's okay.
That got brutal. I don't know what the hell was up with the kid.
What got brutal?
Who was that had their like grandkid that kept like?
That was John Brown Productions.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
John Brown, and I had just been on there. I think it was earlier that day because he sent me an email and he wanted somebody to help him learn how to use Hangouts. And so I spent about 30 minutes with him. I set up a private Hangout and I sent him an invite to it. And I tried to explain how everything worked. I didn't think he'd come onto a midnight chat that was obviously adult content and have like a 2 or 3 year old kid.
Well, he got an education last night.
Then he'd leave the mic open and everything else, and the guy looked like he's pretty much sitting at the table in his underwear and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he could hear what was actually going on. I have a hard time believing he'd have left that on if he could hear it. You know?
Yeah, I hope he didn't. 'Cause that kid got an earful.
Yeah, he's educated. I can't wait to hear some of the words he's saying today.
Uh-huh.
oh yeah, Grandpa, go fuck yourself. we thought it was fun. We thought it was funny when Gunpowder's little one told her to bite her.
Oh, that was epic.
Oh, yes. Yes, RL. I want to thank you so much for teaching my kid Papusa.
Hey, you were the one that put him in the chat, okay?
Yeah.
Just because he can speak Spanish now, it should, that's not a problem.
Hey, he's going to grow up and like Papusa anyway. You might as well get it out of the way early.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
Hey, you guys are right in Texas, so you guys are close enough to Mexico where Spanish will help.
Yeah.
Well, the Papusa helps everybody. Okay, let's save this for Outlaw.
Yeah, let's not get unloaded a strike tonight.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was going to come back and tell y'all what was going on with that. So that link that me and RL got are actually links to his show that was starting earlier, and it just, I guess, had a delayed in the send.
Oh, okay.
I popped in there and it was just him and Travis, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we ended that show about 10 minutes ago."
Okay.
Tell him to start another one.
Yeah, start her back up.
He said he's not going to start another show tonight, but he'll probably, if somebody else wanted to start one, he'll jump in.
It's RL's turn. I did it last night.
I can't do it from the truck.
I got work in the morning. Ain't happening.
I would be more than happy to. I can't do it. How about it's snowing north? You throw one up.
I can do that.
We're still in this one. Who's over there with Ellis? Which one did Travi? Send them links. Come over here. Fuck it.
You really want to do that?
Put it last week, man. What the hell's been it again at this point?
Say, where's Alan Anchor? Let's get her in.
Oh boy, that was damn near as rough as Bob.
Yeah.
When she started talking about pocket pussies, that got ridiculous.
Oh, Alan Anchor.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Angelina.
And if you notice, she was the one that was talking, and that's when the chat started going, "Hey, there's kids listening here."
Yeah.
I shipped 5 of those things out last night.
Well, I hope you kept at least one for yourself.
No, the security camera would catch me. You would not believe. I don't care what the military says about them having cameras. Amazon's got them beat.
Oh,
You
sure.
can't walk 2 feet without having a camera.
Now I kind of want to work for Amazon just to see the weird shit that's going to be sent off.
Well, I know they sell sex toys on Amazon, so
I
I'm
ship
sure.
Oh,
at
yeah.
least 25 dildos a night. Pocket pussies are a common one. Personal massagers are a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I'm gonna
they-
start shopping on Amazon.
They sell bulk
Oh,
packages of condoms where it's like 10,000 at a time.
Yep.
Dear God,
I've
lifetime
actually-
supply.
What the
come out of-
hell?
I've come out of a
One
pharmaceutical
maybe orgy at
place.
that point.
Like I literally one night I was sitting there. It was one of the first nights I started, and I'm joking with the person that's working with me. Tell him I'm like, I just got the Lonely Ladies package here. Had condoms, vibrators, and nothing else.
Oy. I've
Nipple
come out
clamps
of
and
a
stuff like that.
pharmaceutical. Where is that place? It's in the Poconos, actually, somewhere that I came out of, and that's what I started looking through the manifest. And yeah, it had like a whole pallet of personal massagers on it, like 4 pallets of condoms, pallet of lube. I'm like, oh my God, I'm driving the Pornhub Express down the road tonight.
Well, then you get the ones where you could tell that it's the rich, lonely chicks because you'll get the 24 karat gold dildo that comes down, and then you'll have what is it? The weirdest one I packaged was it's a dildo that's shaped it's in the form of a pistol. So essentially, it's a dick with a pistol grip on it.
Well, you gotta get some leverage sometimes, I guess.
Got to manage that recoil.
I thought about it. It's probably just like it probably shoots just like a full auto does.
It's a full semi-auto
You find-
dildo.
You find a woman that goes full auto on that. You keep her.
See, all I can think of is the weirdest thing I've done for work is when I worked for Walmart, we had a store manager that she had great ideas for Valentine's Day, but for a Walmart, it was not the best idea because, we would have like the market level people come in and look at us like, what the fuck were we thinking? I mean, like an example would be we would set up one of those end caps and it would be like chocolates and stuffed animals. And then all of a sudden you'd have like lube with cock rings and other stuff all along that same one.
Well,
For Valentine's Day, it works. But when you've got kids and everything else running around, apparently the higher ups aren't too excited about that one.
well, I'm pretty sure John Brown's grandson after last night knows exactly what all that stuff is. So,
Hey, it just blew my mind when Walmart started selling cock rings. That one caught me off guard.
And I would just like to remind Rich that he asked for this chat. So,
Well, after working for Amazon, there's nothing that surprises me that people buy or want anymore. Like, Razer is a huge gaming company, and one night I have a tote that comes down and it's just full of Razer stuff. So I go home and look all this stuff up on Amazon, and someone spent like $8,000 on this shit. It's like, are you kidding me for gaming equipment? or else the $15,000 laptop that was shipped the other night.
Jeez. Holy shit.
Oh, that's nothing. That
Oh, I can believe it.
came down the line, and that decided to pop out of one of the totes and apparently broke the laptop. So they had to get another one.
Did you say $1,500?
15,000.
Oh yeah, holy shit! I agree there. I was saying because I 1,500 ain't nothing. I built a system back when I was younger, and I think I spent on parts. This wasn't even actually buying a computer pre-manufactured. I spent like $2,500 or $3,000 on it.
Yeah, that's about what my gaming rig is right now. But
I'm sorry, for $15,000, when you open Pornhub on that, it better start blowing you.
well, it's just like we ship all kinds of shit too. Like TVs, they get shipped out of there. There's very few things that we're not actually able or allowed to ship out of my facility. There's certain like hazmat stuff we're not allowed to. So like fireworks or anything explosive, we're not allowed to. Perfume is one of the weird ones that we're not allowed to because it's hazmat, because it's flammable. And we have some really weird stuff that we're not allowed to ship, but then we have all the really weird shit. Like my favorite is for hazmat when it's got a battery in it. So like dildos and vibrators and all that stuff that obviously have a battery pack in them. You have to put on a specific label saying these can't go on an airplane because they may explode. So I'm just thinking to myself every time I see that, wonder what it would be like to see a dildo explode.
That's funny. They get the same OR.
They actually sell those kind.
Suicide by dildo, that would be a new one.
Pretty sure that's happened at least once.
Well, that's not bad. You could come and go at the same time.
Hey,
Weirdest thing with it.
Here's a good one. Here, a good one. My wife was telling me about in the ER the other night.
Oh, I've got an ER story too. Go ahead.
Oh boy.
They had a gay dude come in with a Coke bottle stuck up his ass.
Yeah.
It formed a vacuum and he couldn't pull it back out.
Oh, I got you beat.
They had to drill a hole in the bottle extremely carefully so that they could pull the bottle out without it breaking.
Oh, my mom, when she was in the ER, she had a chick that came in and she was with her girlfriend and got a dildo stuck in her ass. They ended up having to do surgery to remove it because it got stuck that far up.
Holy crap. That sucks. My sister was a RN and she sat there and was in the ER one night and a dude had come in and he had managed to get I want to say it was a hamster or something up his ass and it started scratching to get out and they had to do surgery to get this hamster out of his ass. And I looked at my sister and I was like, did anybody ever ask him why? And she's like, no. As soon as we left the room, we were all laughing, just like, it's a rodent that you stuck up your butt. What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
That's just like
that's
that.
the thing in the community. Usually it's a gerbil because they hold it by the tail, or so I've been told by some people.
Maybe it was a gerbil. I can't remember. I just know it's a furry rodent.
That's just like one of my favorites.
I don't know why anybody would want to put a gerbil up their butt, but apparently that's a big thing in the gay community. I don't know why.
I don't understand it.
I don't know why. It just seems like it'll be counterproductive. Especially if you've ever held a gerbil and had one run across your damn hand with those little freaking claws. No, thank you.
That's just like one of my favorite stories from the last few years is, y'all remember that one about the chick in China that caught her husband cheating on her, cut his dick off, went to the hospital, he had it surgically replaced. She snuck into the hospital, chopped his dick off again.
No, that's kind of funny though.
That was from a couple of years ago, and I'm just sitting there, and I know to me I would be steaming pissed. But I'm just sitting there. I'm like, wow, this guy must have really picked a crazy one if he got his dick cut off twice by the same woman.
So you're saying that he got bobbited twice?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yikes.
Hell hath no fury, I guess.
To piss her off.
Don't stick your dick in crazy. You might just lose it, I guess.
Sometimes you gotta fuck the ones where you gotta palm a blade underneath the pillow. Those are the most fun.
They really are.
Well, you got to think though, if they cut it off, at least it makes it a lot easier to smack people in the face with it.
You and the dick slapping. What is your deal?
Hey,
Never mind, don't
the
answer that. Never mind, don't answer that.
Sometimes
That
you gotta
was
put them in
Not
line.
in the bedroom, gunpowder. We don't need to know. Just keep it in the bedroom.
You say
Oh no, I don't. Let's see. Have I been drunk to forget? No, I have not had that happen. But he talks about dick slapping people all the time, and I'm like, what? I don't understand it. It seems like that would hurt a guy because it's supposed to be so sensitive, but apparently dick slapping somebody isn't. But if you flick it, then it's the end of the world.
That's just like Joe Rogan. I just watched one of his comedy specials, and his favorite thing is any girl that wears a set of glasses knows that it's a dirty trick because every man's mind instantly goes to, I wonder what it would look like if I came on those glasses.
Go. Bye-bye.
That was funny. Hi,
So what is
Fluffy.
it? When one mobile user falls
Yeah.
out, all of them do?
Pretty much.
Yeah, gunpowder pretty much fucks the whole chat when she comes in. She drags everybody down.
Listen here. Fuck you, Fluffy. You were the first to go that time.
Oh,
I'll
so
go
here's
get you neutered. Don't fuck with me.
Here's a good one. Thursday night, I had to push my chat back by an hour because I spent 67 minutes on the phone with my internet company. My ping is supposed to be extremely low, and I'm hitting 1,000 ping when I do a speed check on my internet. I get the one Indian guy that doesn't know anything about technology. He's sitting here, he's talking to me, and I'm like, no, I know what I'm supposed to be hitting. I run speed tests consistently because I'm uploading YouTube videos, I'm watching YouTube, and I stream stuff. Like, I'm paying over $100 a month to have business class internet. Fix this. Well, it may be your connection in your house. Bullshit, because the last connection I had with the last internet carrier didn't have these issues with. Well, I don't know what you want me to do. Have you run any tests on my modem? No. Okay, so run some tests on my modem. Oh, I see where you're having your issues. Our modem is starting to die, it appears, because it's having disconnection on our end. Huh. So I just wasted 67 minutes on the phone with you for you to sit here and figure out that, hey, what I was telling you was the problem in the first place is the issue. Well, we can send a technician out to set up the modem, or else I can just send you one. It's really plug and play. Like, just send me the plug and play one, because that's what I did last time. Well, we really think that putting a technician to sit there and connect those wires would be worth it, but it'll cost you an extra $100 out. Kiss my ass, send me the one. So they send it to me. It's supposed to arrive today. Well, it got sent back to them because they forgot to put my name and my apartment number on the damn box. So I spent another 45 minutes on the phone with them today to tell them, hey, you guys forgot to put this information on here, and they sent it back to you. So now you need to send me another one.
And who do you have?
I have CenturyLink right now, which I'm thinking about. As much as I hate Time Warner or Spectrum or whatever the hell they call themselves, that's what I want to go back to. But I'm holding out hope because they're actually running AT&T, the fiber optic cable underground in my area. So I'm kind of holding out hope that that goes live within the next couple months, because then I'll just switch to that, because that's what I had at my shop when I owned it, and that's what I've had at every other place I've lived at, and I've never had an issue.
Yeah, we have Frontier, and it fucking sucks.
Don't get me started on Frontier gunpowder. Yours at least works half the time.
Oh, let me tell you about
no.
Frontier.
Oh, I know.
In
all
2 months,
that too.
these sorry motherfuckers went from $130 something. The next month went to $180 something fucking dollars, and this month it went up to $500 fucking dollars. Those cocksuckers can sit there and fucking burn in hell as far as I care, because they are screwing so many people over. Their customer service fucking sucks. You can't ever get somebody to actually fucking do their job. I fucking hate Frontier. I love
that sounds like
Verizon.
Sprint.
Hate fucking Frontier.
At least Snowy got a new modem out of his. We'd call them, tell them we got shit wrong with our modem. They just want to reprogram it every fucking time.
Well,
That's the problem with us too. But we were paying for high speed fucking internet and not even getting what low speed internet was getting. And then they would only credit us back like 6 months after we were paying for like 2 years. And it's like, okay, what is the problem?
well, and another big problem I was talking about with Gunpowder's mom earlier was I think we've got an issue with Frontier where they throttle us because we are supposed to be at 100. You know, if you're plugged directly in, you're supposed to be like 100. 100, I think, is what our speed is. We're supposed to be at 100 right now, and I think on one Wi-Fi we're supposed to be like at 50. And I noticed that, and I'm thinking that's a big problem. Like I've complained about our computer, but I actually think the bigger problem is the Wi-Fi we have, because I don't even think we're really. I mean, I've tested the speed and it says we're hitting 50, but I know they throttle us our connection, because I'll have where my phone or the laptop or something will come up and say disconnected from the internet or no connection found, and then I'll look on there and it shows like our Wi-Fi just completely shut down and reset itself randomly.
That's probably your modem, because that's the same one of the same issues I was having.
Well, no, this is the weird thing is our modem's new, and it actually shows that the modem's online. Like everything shows it's online. I know that doesn't mean that the connection in there might not be bad, but it'll show just fine there.
That's what happens with ours. A few years ago, I kept getting kicked off because the freaking modem kept fucking up.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying. Is like our modem doesn't show, like it doesn't look like there's a damn thing wrong with the modem.
Yeah, ours doesn't either.
It'll just shut off. But I know it throttles too, because when I have done the test, I won't just do one speed test and leave it at that. I'll test it a couple times and I'll get different numbers, and not different in the sense of like it'll be, on Wi-Fi it'll be like 45 and then 50. Like I'm talking difference where it'll be like 25 and then 50.
Yeah, I'm still fighting with Sprint. Our bill with our cell phone is supposed to be like $130 a month is what the set rate is. And for the last couple months, I've noticed it generally creep up maybe $5, $10. Well, all of a sudden this month I get a bill for $486. The fuck are you talking about? I have unlimited internet, unlimited phone, and unlimited text messaging. I should not be getting a $486 fucking bill out of nowhere. So I call them. Well, we're going to have to talk to our, whatever their higher up manager is. And I called them like 3 days ago. I still haven't gotten a response back. So I called back. Well, we have to have a manager call you back again. Okay. If I don't hear from you guys on the 24th when my bill is due, y'all can fuck off and eat that $485 bill. I'll deal without a cell phone until I decide to go over to Sprint or to AT&T or Verizon and pick them up. Well, we'll make sure a manager calls you back. Like, okay, then also why the fuck is my bill $486? You guys still haven't figured that out multiple days later? I flat out told them, I'm like, I don't give a shit. I don't need my phone. I don't need people calling and texting me. They can get a hold of me via internet. And I have a phone issued to me from the security contractor, so they can kiss my ass. I'm not paying them that shit.
Yeah, fuck them.
Fuck them all.
Yeah, fuck them.
Fuck them.
What's going on, ass blasters?
Not much, ass munch.
Well, I see you got the invite. Now the question is, where the fuck is Hatfield?
I don't know. It's not my job to fucking watch them or feed them or clothe them or Not beat the shit out of him? I don't know.
Do you have to walk his pet sheep?
No, it's always
Maybe he's
attached to
playing
him.
with his butt.
I was gonna say, I was gonna ask if it
That he told us
limped.
all about the other night.
Yeah, well, it pulls to the right a little bit, but that's because he hooks to the left. So, I mean, it all works out.
His little blue pill may have worn off too.
That's true. So is this going to turn into another Gizzard Gary free-for-all foul territory fuckity fuck?
I'm not running this one. This is unloaded media. It can be on their nickel this time.
Uncensored
Yeah, we
media.
had it last week.
Uncensored
We
media.
had it last week. Might as well this week.
That's what I said earlier. Let's get Alan Anchor in here and really let it rip.
I'm glad you took that one down. That fucking chat last night was good. Probably would have got me divorced.
Why? You didn't want to have your wife? Your wife want to order a pocket pussy for you?
She probably would, then she doesn't need to fucking bother with me anymore.
Tell her to order it off Amazon. Me or Megan will end up fucking shipping it to you.
Great, it'll be pre-owned.
I gotta ask though.
Lightly used.
Low mileage, right?
It'll have 1 or 2 shots through it. That's it.
Well, Alan Anchor offered to give out her used one last night. Midnight, did you end up getting some pupusa last night? Midnight?
Oh, nah, it's too late, man. I'm still at work now, too. I'm fucked for tonight. I still got to do my order for Monday, and I probably won't be home for another hour, a little over an hour, maybe.
Wow, I didn't know working at Waffle House was so detailed.
Oh, that sucks,
Wow.
man.
You gotta
I've been here
order the
since-
batter and the maple syrup.
I got here at 8:15 this morning. It is now, 12:45 my time.
Oh wait, that's right. You work in Asian cuisine, so y'all are out hunting the cats down right now, aren't you?
That's true. Yeah, all the
Hey.
alleyway.
That is like the Holocaust to my people.
Yeah. It is what
Mine
it
keeps
is.
biting the shit out of me. It can go to a Chinese restaurant. I don't give a shit. Megan can complain about it all she wants.
Yeah, send it up my way. We'll do a video out of it.
Well, where are you petting it at?
I'm not. So she's like any other cat. You'll be laying there. She'll come crawl on you. And then out of nowhere, you'll just be sitting there watching TV, and all of a sudden, she'll fucking bite your hand. You little motherfucker.
That should be another video for midnight. It'll be Asian-inspired pupusa.
There you go.
There you go.
Tomorrow, Black Cat, aka RL, will show up with his icon, his little avatar. That'll have a Chick-fil-A sign or chicken, and then Gary will get pissed off because he's picking on chickens.
Hey, I had gizzards for supper tonight.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Ooh,
from the Opie Chicken House. Yes,
There you
I
go.
did.
Isn't that cannibalism?
You didn't even save any for us. You bastard.
Hey, you guys weren't here. I would have saved you some.
You're a real son of a bitch. You know that? Jesus.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah, me
you
too.
got room to talk midnight. You won't even make me a fucking sandwich when I come up through there.
You're not even allowed to know where I work. My wife will get
Spit it
mad.
out. Spit it out.
I'm not allowed to let anybody know where I work. My wife will get mad at me.
Everybody knows where you work.
So when, I meet, so when we meet up for the rally, we can't go to your restaurant for lunch afterwards?
No. And that's actually what I'd love to, but she's very, I mean, you guys have heard, she's had some issues in the past, you know what I mean? A lot of you have heard probably. She talked about it on the show the other week.
There goes all the mobile users. Bastards. Get some internet.
Yep, there they go again. You know, midnight shows up, and we go from bitching about Frontier Communications.
Jesus Christ. Who was it?
It was you, motherfucker. You were the first one gone.
Yeah, probably.
Jackass.
You fucking who
Blah, blah, blah.
Hey, so does anyone watch Donut Operator?
Oh,
On
yeah.
Yes.
I fucking
Yeah.
love his channel. I went through and I binge watched like a bunch of his videos today. That guy's fucking hilarious on the way he breaks down cop shootings and everything.
Well, I'll tell you
Oh,
what,
yeah.
too. I've brought him up on my station. I've brought him up on my channel a couple times because there's not a whole lot of people out there that will show the entirety of videos either. They always want to piece them together and show the middle but not the end or whatever. And he'll show the whole goddamn thing, which is cool.
Yeah, I like that. Like, and I like his sovereign citizen bingo where he'll get like
Yeah.
Officer
Yes.
401 and them on there, and then
that
bark
sovereign
bark nom
citizen
nom,
shit
or
drives
bark
me
bark nom nom.
out of my goddamn mind. That shit drives me fucking nuts. It makes me want to punch people.
Just short drive.
Yeah. It makes me want to punch babies.
I like when the police dogs are on there. That's fucking hilarious.
The bork
Yeah,
bark
bork
nom nom.
barks.
Fur missiles.
Yeah, the fur. The one fucking guy let it go, but he's like, he was doing the commentary as the dog while the cop's walking up to him. He's like, get this fucking guy off me. Get this fucking guy off me.
The one
This
the
guy
one
tastes
that
like
I watched,
methamphetamine and regret.
the one I watched today was out of California. It was like a high chase pursuit, and you hear the news media, oh, it looks like they're firing non-lethals, and you kind of smoke the guy out. And all of a sudden, you just hear a Donut Operator pop up and say, nope, they're breaking that window out, and watch this. He's like, it's going to be a bork bork missile, and all of a sudden you see the dog just go in and jump through the window and get the fucking guy out.
Yeah, gotta take a 40 Mike to the nuts.
I saw that one.
Yeah.
That was pretty rough, man. That guy. Oh man.
Or else he had Dave from the Trump inauguration on there. That's my favorite video from the entire inauguration. You're on video, buddy. I don't give a fuck. My name's Dave.
Did you see where he actually had Dave on?
Dave.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. Yeah, he did like a hangout with him.
Yeah.
It sucks. I want to go home.
Boy, fuck, I might beat you home, and I spent the night in New Jersey.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Life sucks sometimes.
I say we need to have a GC meetup over in PA, and we all go to Midnight's restaurant.
I like
We'll
it.
just start hitting all the Asian cuisine places in the area, and we'll eventually figure out which one it is.
Oh, I can
Because
figure it
it's a grocery store. Aha.
He works at the local Walmart. They're trying that out the new sushi stand.
Yeah, it's a frozen shit. I just open up the boxes and put it on a styrofoam plate.
I could figure it out. There's only so many fucking Waffle Houses in the state.
I know.
Man, I was gonna give him a real.
Well, in,
I was going to say Panda Express.
Oh yeah, that's bad. Yeah, I never thought of that one.
somebody ping his ass and just figure out where he's at, and then you can just start going gradually. How far would he drive away from there?
I'm too retarded for that shit. We pay people to do that for me.
Track you down.
Well, I'm gonna see you. We're a week from Monday. So
Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to. How long do they usually last? You know, is there a time frame for it?
it's however long you want to go for, basically, because the rally itself will last. Jesus Christ, the rally, our lovely road system in PA here. Holy fuck! The rallies usually last from like the speakers from like 10 till 12 or so, 12:30, and then you go around and visit
cool.
however many, senators or assemblymen or whatever you want to visit. So
Yeah.
Well, so
So
I'm
you can
actually
go-
taking a trip out towards you guys. I have to go to Pennsylvania, I think in September, because my uncle lives out there. So maybe if I'm close to kind of where you guys are, meet somewhere at a range and go shooting when I'm out there.
Yeah. Where is he at?
I forget what city it is. All I know is it's going to be kind of a weird weekend for me because I'm going out there only to see him. But my dad lives in the same area as him, and I haven't seen my dad since I was 4 years old.
No,
wow.
There's Ellis Spector.
Howdy, folks.
Yeah, we all got your link about an hour late there, buddy.
Dude,
Yeah.
I sent you that link a long time before the show ended.
We got that right around the time it ended.
Yep.
It's very convenient that you gave us the link late.
I didn't give you the link late. The show was still going on when I sent you the link.
No, I see how you
Yeah,
are.
it came out. It was weird. We all got it right around the same time.
Yeah.
That's shitty. Because I know I sent all of y'all a fucking link.
Yeah. Yeah, what was it? Me and Tron.
I didn't get shit, you bastard.
I didn't get a link either. What the hell you talking about? Sent you all a link. I didn't get no goddamn link from you.
Yeah.
What was that?
Hostile in this room tonight. Holy shit.
Even without you all there, it was a great show. I'm sorry you missed it.
I was there for about half of it listening. I just had to work.
I couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on.
I had to stop doing dishes because I was busting out laughing because you fuckers were talking about some random ass shit.
Okay. Gunpowder, would you mind explaining to them what was going on?
I really wish I could, but when I got the link, I hopped in, and I gotta admit I was a little lost.
Sounds like she'd need a whole bottle of Jack to describe what was going on.
Listen, me and Jack don't get along anymore since the one time back in the day. But
Did Jack make you get naked again?
No, that's whiskey.
No.
Jack is whiskey.
Yeah, but I don't drink Jack. That's just like Fireball whiskey or, the good shit. Jack, to me, is not good shit. I throw up a lot with Jack.
Fireball is shit.
Fireball is the shit.
Might as well drink fucking Evan Williams, too. Ugh.
Listen, I love Everclear, but I like me some Fireball.
That's just like anybody who drinks Jaeger doesn't realize all that is the fucking bartender's taking a rag at the end of the night and wiping all the spilt alcohol up and pouring it into a fucking bottle.
When I was in college and I was
used
really
to be my
looking to-
favorite, Snowy, but now, after hearing how you talk shit about Jaeger, that's still one of my favorite drinks, but it's actually cough syrup for people over in Germany.
Okay, so if you want to hear a good joke, look up Lewis Black talking about drinking in Wisconsin once. That's probably the best
Lewis
5 to 10
Black
minutes you'll
drinking
watch.
is... Oof.
According to him, when you come to Wisconsin and drink, we have to give you a sign and hang it around your neck. So when you're stumbling back, it just says, "My name is Lewis Black. I am staying at this hotel. I have enjoyed drinking in your fine city, but I can't see shit, so please point me in the right direction."
I could have used that sign back in the day.
Well, that's just like every time I take a trip out of the state of Wisconsin, I have to bring cases of beer because we have New Glarus Brewery up here, and the only way you can buy Spotted Cow beer is if you live in Wisconsin. So every time I travel out of the state, I have to take it to somebody. So it never fails. I'm at the liquor store that my buddy's parents own, spending like $200 on beer because the only hookup most people have to get this beer.
So what kind of... I understand that people like the beer, but what kind of beer is it?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm not a huge... I'm more of an IPA type drinker. I don't drink a lot of the regular beers. I honestly don't know how to describe Spotted Cow. Let me look it up and see how they describe it. Hey, look, my internet's
I
actually
a lot
working.
about Spotted Goat, but that's not really a beer.
Apparently, Spotted Cow is described as a naturally cloudy farmhouse ale. It's a fun, fruity, and satisfying beer. It pairs good with barbecue, grilled steak, jambalaya, brat steak, seafood, linguine, limburger, sandwiches, burger, and fries. All kinds of shit apparently it pairs with. See, I'm lucky because
I'm sorry,
I have...
I'm still lost because it said cloudy, fun, fruity, and beer.
Yeah, it's a really weird description. But that's the kind of nice thing about being in the area that I am. We have a lot of the breweries within an hour of my house. So we've got the Sprecher Brewery, we've got New Glarus, we've got Miller, we've got... Who the hell else? We've got like 5 or 6 different breweries. Plus, on top of that, we have a lot of the microbreweries. And the shitty part is my favorite beer is made by Dogfish Head Brewery. And it used to be banned in the state of Wisconsin because it had such a high alcohol content. I would have to drive 2 hours into Illinois to buy this beer. And it just has finally gotten approved to start being sold in the state of Wisconsin again.
I don't know what beer it was, but when I went to North Carolina, my godfather got me to try some 10-point beer, and it was delicious.
See, I'm kind of partial to Shiner Bock because it's made here in Texas. And I don't know about food, but I know it matches really well with whiskey.
Yeah, I had a buddy I went to culinary school in Jersey. He was from Texas, and he used to get, his mom used to ship him up a case of Shiner Bock every once in a while.
I have yet to try
Shiner
that
Bock
one,
is
but
awesome.
everyone tells me I gotta try it.
It's really awesome. And if you can get your fiance to try it, 6 of them, and it'll get her drunk.
She gets drunk off of a shot of Jack. Are you kidding me? I don't need 6.
Wow.
She's so she grew up one of the really good girls, police chief's police chief's daughter, and all kinds of stuff like that. So
that's all you had to say.
Yeah, so she didn't really drink, but once she got with me, she started drinking, and she's actually gotten a hell of a lot better than what she used to be. The only thing is she hasn't learned necessarily where her limit is, because she'll go out and buy at the bars. She'll buy like the kind of fruitier flavored ones or like chocolate flavored drinks and not realize how much alcohol is actually in the fucking things.
And then she gets shit faced and she's praying to the porcelain god.
That's exactly what happens. I don't know how many times I've had to pull over. We've been together for 5 years now. I don't know how many times I've had to pull over on the side of the road so she didn't puke in my fucking car.
See, back before I hit 30, it was easy. I could sit there and do Shiner and a double shot of whiskey all night. And I know there was one night my brother tried to keep up with me, and I think I went through about 18 rounds, maybe 20 rounds, and he was pretty much completely gone. Gunpowder got a really nice picture of him bent over in front of our apartment puking
into the bushes. It was freaking hilarious. Drunk ass projectile vomiting from trying to keep up with Tardot. It was great.
Well, so
and then he got butt hurt because I'd taken the picture and posted it.
Well, so the first time Megan ever came and drank with me and my friends, she was right when we first got together. My buddy was having a bonfire. He's actually going to be the best man at my wedding, but his name's Bill. Bill is about 6'5", 6'6", and about a 250 to 280 pound dude. Him and I polished off 2 30-packs together and each polished off a bottle of Patron. Megan's sitting there trying to keep up with us. She had a hangover for like the next 5 days. Bill and I were up cutting wood the next morning. I don't know how you guys do that. We have experience.
Well, yeah, you talk about that. You talk about her trying to keep up with y'all and needing to keep up with y'all. Honestly, my point of view on it is the less it takes, the cheaper it is. So that's always a plus.
Exactly. That's why I don't go out to the bars or anything like that anymore, because honestly, it got to the point where I was going out and I was spending a shit ton of money and I wasn't really buzzed. I wasn't drunk or anything like that. So why am I sitting here paying $6-7 for a drink when I can go home and make the same drink for a quarter of the cost.
Yep.
Which I guess is kind of one of those things where Megan's happy because she started dating me before she turned 21. So she was able to find out the realistic price difference of if we sit at home and drink and have a few people over here as opposed to go out to the bar, look at how much money we actually save.
So Hatfield, what do you got? You've been kind of quiet.
I ain't got shit. I got water.
I ain't got any of those kind of stories. The closest I got to that is my brother showing up at our old apartment in Pittsburgh, drunk off his fucking ass. 2 hours later, after we go to bed, our roommate starts screaming, Ranch, get your brother off the toilet. His dumb fucking ass passed out on the toilet.
See, I don't really go out and drink like when I'm with a bunch of group of friends. I'm the one who's normally designated as the driver. And because I always have my concealed carry permit, it's legal to carry in bars as long as you're not consuming, obviously, around here. So I'm always the designated carrier and the designated driver. So for me, I always get the experience of watching all these people. I told you this is exactly what was going to happen if you drank that and decided to try doing that. And you should have listened, but now I'm going to fuck with you in the morning.
You guys are funny. If you've never woken up naked in an apartment you don't recognize, you haven't partied hard enough.
Ooh, I've totally done that.
Yeah, I
Hey.
have too.
Oh yeah.
I went to an apartment for the first time twice because I was so drunk.
Not only have I
We
woken up naked in
Yeah.
apartments, but I've woken up in strange houses too.
I fell through my
never heard
kitchen
that.
table like Tommy Boy. Remember the Tommy Boy when he passed?
Hell
out?
yes.
I did that once.
Yeah.
I did
I-
that once. Yeah.
I haven't got any.
No, I got totally shit faced and went into two of my buddies came in and we went to these other kids' house apartment. And then like 2 or 3 days later, we were drinking again and we went down there and I walked in and I was like, God damn, this place looks fucking familiar. And the guy had a deer head on the wall, like a mounted deer head. I was like, Jesus Christ, that looks familiar. And they're like, well, yeah, you were here the other night. And I'm like, no, I wasn't. They're like, yeah, you were sitting on the fucking couch. We were like drinking and playing like whatever. I don't remember, kind of, PlayStation or whatever. And I was like, no, it wasn't. And they're like, yeah, you were. I was like, holy shit, I must have been fucking hammered. I don't even remember doing any of that. There was like a whole 5-hour period and I don't remember.
My favorite is after I split with my ex, I went out with a bunch of friends, got pissed drunk, and I took a taxi home and I just handed the guy my license and I was pissed drunk. I didn't even realize I hadn't changed the address. Takes me back to the house that her and I were buying together. I'm sitting there getting into the house because I still have a key for the damn thing. My ex meets me at the door. She's like, I was looking for a hookup tonight anyways. Went and hooked up with her, woke up in the morning. I'm like, was I that fucking drunk that I came back? See you later.
That's awesome.
That was one of those, she was crazy enough where you had to palm a knife under the pillow, so.
Like I said, they're always the most fun.
Until she
think,
burned, like, all of my shit.
I think the weirdest place I've woke up at after being drunk was a neighbor's house this was actually before I was 21. This is when I was in high school and got drunk. One of the guys I knew that was 21 was having a house party and woke up in the neighbor's pool floating around on a floaty. And it was like the end of December, beginning of January when it actually gets pretty freezing cold sometimes down here.
Well, so you're talking about high school. Is your high school diploma on stone or parchment paper?
I'm not quite that far back. I know you're a youngin', but yeah, I got a diploma back when they just didn't hand that shit out of a Cracker Jack box too.
Yeah, Tardot, you old fuck you.
Hey.
That's just like I
He's
used to
only
work with
6 months older than me, so I'm still in the prime of my youth. Watch it.
I used to hang out with this guy from work. His name was Dave, and we'd be sitting there, and he's an old guy, about 70, 75. He's still working as a maintenance tech for the injection molding place I was working. All of a sudden, he comes driving around, flying around on a forklift, and I asked him, I'm like, hey, does AARP cover you driving a forklift anymore? The building manager, the main GM for the entire building, comes walking out. That was disrespectful. Dave's hanging off the forklift, fucking laughing, hearing it. They tried writing me up for harassment for it, and Dave's like, I don't want him written up for it. I thought it was fucking hilarious.
The strangest place I can ever remember waking up after getting drunk was my own bed. And that's mainly because when I got drunk, I was about 30 miles away from home.
I've had one of those nights, and then I've had one of the nights where you wake up and you don't even recognize your own house because you're still that shit-faced drunk. You're like, where in the fuck am I? Yeah,
I got
I've had
pissed
quite a
drunk
few of
one
those.
night. I got pissed drunk one night, and apparently I knew I shouldn't ride my motorcycle home. So I pushed my motorcycle down the road, put it into a different parking spot, walked back into the bar, got drunk, and got confused when I walked out. My motorcycle wasn't where I originally left it. So I just called the taxi.
Wow.
I think there's a video of that happening too.
I've gotten drunk and I've gotten drunk and challenged to jump off of a second-story balcony and woke up in the person's front yard after I did it because I knocked myself out.
A little bit of a sobering experience after that one.
That's what's wrong with you. Makes a lot of sense now.
No, that's not what's wrong with him. He's married to you. That's what's wrong with him.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Hatfield.
It's not even that he's married
Hatfield.
to her. It's just that he's married. That's what's wrong with him.
For us more
Fuck you,
experienced
Snowy.
guys, for us
You're
more
welcome,
experienced
Toadette.
guys in the chat, I'd just like to say I am so happy that most of my hard partying days were before everybody had a fucking camera that could record.
Me too. Oh my goodness.
I'm pretty sure I would not be allowed to own firearms to this day if there was a video log of my party days.
I'm pretty sure if there were cameras during my party days, my dad would be so embarrassed by how I
I'm
acted.
pretty sure if there was a camera around in my partying days, I would not be free right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that too.
I got lucky because I grew up when I was growing up and when I was really drinking, we still had it was when the videos on the phones were still the grainy where you could barely make out if that was a person or not. I got lucky on that, but nowadays these kids, you do something stupid, it's getting caught somewhere and everybody can see it.
I love how he says these kids. What are you, like 23?
26.
26. Okay.
Hey, I told y'all
It is damn self.
I gave a ride to some college girls when since we're doing the Uber thing, and they were sitting in the back seat talking about some guy hitting on them at the bar, and made the comment about him being old. And then the next thing out of their mouth was, "Yeah, wasn't he like 30 or something?" I just kind of sat in the front seat and had a smirk on my face. I was just ready to turn around and go, "What the fuck are y'all talking about?"
It's funny that they didn't recognize you from the bar.
That's just like, so my mom, I have a 8-year-old half brother, and it's really funny because I go to a lot of his sporting events, and there's a couple girls that have kids that are the same age as him that I went to high school with, and a lot of them, oh, which one's yours? Not a single damn one of them. That one's my little brother. I ain't having a fucking kid. They get all sorts of confused, like, well, we have kids. Why doesn't he have kids yet? I don't want them. And yes, my mom is 48 years old with an 8-year-old. Deal with it.
Yeah, we already had to deal with being the old parents because I have an 8-year-old. Although I'm not
See, my dad had a my sister. God, I can't remember how old he was, but he was right around that because I was about 17 years old. He had my sister, and whenever we'd all go go do something, I used to be accused of being dad all the time.
Yeah, that's why I don't like taking my brother to the zoo or anything like that. Like, I like taking him, but everybody automatically assumes he's my kid. I'm like,
well, it did
nope.
for me. I was 17 years old and 18 years old and whatever, and it didn't help that I looked like I was probably getting close to 30 at that point.
Yeah, you look like you probably rocked a beard like me in high school.
Oh yeah, I did.
He did.
Well, see, they didn't let us. They made us shave in high school, at school we went to. But the second I graduated, oh yeah, I barely ever shaved. I mean, it's kind of like right now.
I had a goatee most of the time, but I could rock a full beard in high school.
See, I hate shaving because literally I go to the exact same gas station every single time. I go in to buy cigarettes or beer, and they don't card me when I have facial hair. But as soon as I shave it off, all of a sudden I'm getting carded again. Like, y'all fuckers see me almost every day.
That story went a totally different direction because I was about to jump in and go, why in the hell are you getting a shave at a gas station?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm sure there's probably one somewhere in Wisconsin where that's an option. Or you could go up by where Ed Gein was, and I'm sure you could. Hey, I don't want to live anymore. You want to make me into a suit?
Ooh, up there in Plainsfield. That was Plainfield, right? That's where he was?
Yeah, Plainsfield, and then Dahmer was right in Milwaukee. Literally, the concert venue I used to play at all the time when I was in a band at the Rave here in Milwaukee. The hotel that Dahmer was killing and eating people at is right across the hallway, and you can still go up to the room that he was doing it in.
Yeah, y'all have an all-star lineup.
Ghoul? I'll tell you what, man, a lot of people... my wife always is weird about it, but I find like serial killers kind of fascinating. You know what I mean? It's crazy to think about because I like horror movies, so it's like you watch these horror movies and you think that, dude, this is all based on real fucked up people.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I think Leatherface is based on Ed Gein, isn't he?
Yeah,
part of it, yeah. They said when they opened up Gein's house, he had like lampshades made out of women's skin, and he had a suit made out of women, like in Silence of the Lambs. That's where the Silence of the Lambs got that.
He had a couch that was made out of them too, like the material on the couch was made out of skin. I did a research project in high school about Gein, and that was really a fucked up experience.
He had a belt made out of nipples. No shit.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yep. Dude, he was tactical nipples. Tactical belt. There you go. There's a gun belt made out of nipples. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, he was a twisted dude, man.
Well, that's just like Wisconsin, I'm pretty sure, is one of the only states that you can actually buy your own fucking waterfall in, too. Like, the DNR sold off the rights to a bunch of waterfalls, so there's a bunch of people that have private waterfalls in the state of Wisconsin. Just like the bastards in the DNR. It used to be to where you didn't have to have your hunter's safety to get your small games license. Well, I just got a notice that they just changed that law, so now my small games license is no longer valid till I go take my hunter's safety in the state of Wisconsin.
It's a really easy class.
Well, what I wish they would do with the hunter safety is in Wisconsin, if you have your hunter safety, you can apply for your concealed carry permit and get your concealed carry permit. My thought process on that is realistically, if you're allowing one thing to translate over to the other, then it should be interchangeable. Your concealed carry permit should allow you to get your your hunter safety. It's two completely different things. So in my thought process, it's like if you're going to let the hunter safety go for it, then you should allow the concealed carry to do the same thing.
Yeah.
What part of now, goes over to concealed carry? That makes no sense.
Yeah, it really doesn't, because it's two different things completely. The requirements for here, you have to go through, and it's essentially a laws class, and it's 4 hours of you sitting down and learning the laws. And the really weird and hard part here is, so I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday for Amazon. And I can take all of the classes online, finish everything there. Then I have to go do a damn field day, and those only happen on Saturdays. It's like, so you guys are not making this any easier for people, new people, to get their license or anything like that. Because they changed it.
Oh, go ahead.
They changed it. It used to be you didn't have to have your hunter safety, but now I think it's if you were born after 76, you have to go and get a hunter safety. So like I had a bunch of the farmers would, up until this year, a bunch of farmers would actually pay me to come and take coyotes off their property when it was proper time to take them off to where their pelts were actually worth something. So I would go and I would call for coyotes and I'd get however many off as I could. And now I can't even offer that service this year unless I go through and get my hunter safety permit.
I think the PA one you can do online now. I don't know. There wasn't internet when I took mine, so. But you got it through. I got mine through school when I was in school.
Yeah, and like
PA, I got mine through Allegheny County Sheriff's Department.
Just like it's really weird for black bear here in Wisconsin. Black bear, it takes you about 8 years to get enough points in the state of Wisconsin to go hunt black bear. But then if I just hop over to Minnesota, it takes 2 years for me to be able to get a permit to go hunt the black bear.
Wow.
So it's like, why is there a 6-year difference between states?
That's just fucked up. You apply for a hunting license here, you can take a bear every year.
Yeah, I like, and I don't want to hunt bear just for trophy. Like, yeah, I'd like to get one and have it mounted. Meg's already got a black bear mounted, but at the same time, I actually like bear meat.
See, I don't care for bear meat. I haven't hunted bear since I was like 20, I think, the last time I hunted bear.
See, and I like it around here is because the area that I live in, there's a bunch of farms around here, and it's everything from corn to cattle. And a lot of them, the predatory nuisance animals, they will pay people to come actually take them off their land. And I don't mind hunting predators. For me, especially if they're a nuisance. So coyote's perfect. And just like we used to issue 300 permits a year to take wolf off of out of the state. But because the wolf population wasn't thriving in other areas of the United States, and all wolves got put back onto the endangered species list, we weren't able to issue permits anymore. Which then, because the wolves went unchecked, they devastated our deer population here. There has been years where the property up north for us is 80 acres, and everyone around there won't get a single deer within probably a 10-mile radius of where we're at. And that used to be every year, everyone who went up there to hunt would get a deer.
Yeah.
So
we're having issues here with chronic wasting disease with the whitetail. That's no good. I don't know if anybody else is dealing with that.
We had that a couple years ago, but I think it's kind of been checked in our area. But the weird thing with the wolf permits is they are actually issuing permits again, or they're going to start issuing permits again this year for it. So, because it's weird, because if you hop across the border and go into Canada, you don't have to have a permit or anything because they're considered to be a nuisance animal. You shoot them.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and head out of here. I'm tired.
Oh, it's
Go to work in the morning.
Oh, Gary.
Yeah, I think I'm jumping off of here too.
I gotta get up at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
I'm going to be heading out
Sucks to be
to.
you.
It fucking does. It fucking does.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Night,
Night,
Gary.
Good
Gary.
night.
Gary.
See you,
If everybody's
Gary.
heading off, we might as well just go ahead and shut it down, I guess.
Yeah, I'll at least shut the broadcast down. I mean, if y'all are still talking, it'll stay up. So that's all up to y'all.
Yeah, 'cause I was about to
Y'all,
if I was tired before we even started.
yeah, y'all have a good night. I'm jumping off.
Yeah, good night, everybody.
I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna hop off.
See ya.
Yeah, but
Something
Yeah.
going on tomorrow?
I don't know.
You folks